Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Free Bridge Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Castillo, and today I have a special guest,
Joe,
what's your last name?
DellaMonica.
DellaMonica. It's a hard Italian name to say. It's Joe from Staten Island. He's come all the way down here to PA to talk with us about wrestling in general as a whole. And this is a topic that I'm so excited to do this podcast with you. I'm really thankful that you came all the way down here.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I'm really excited about it too. I don't get to talk much wrestling with a lot of people, and I'm ready for today.
All right, so before we start the topic, I do want to get my plugs out of the way, and I want to mention Real Green Touring with Justine and Mikkel. Let them be your tour guides. If you guys ever want to go to Jamaica, you should do it through their program. I have a link in the description below. Just click on the link, check out her website. She's got a blog on there. She's got pictures and all the things that you can see in Jamaica. She'll make it happen. Mikkel's a great guy. I can't say enough good things about them, and they're really nice to me, helping me get this podcast going. They're helping us sponsor it, So big shout out to them. And also Isabella Seda. She's a photographer. She has her own business. She has a website. There's a link in the description below. Make sure you hit that so that way you can check them out and give her some business, man. She does really good work, and she's actually thinking about doing a little calendar for us, nice, where it's gonna be me in like compromising poses. I was thinking about doing the Burt Reynolds where he's got the hat. I would have the Free Bridge Podcast hat there, so I was thinking about doing that. Once again, I want to give a shout out to all the fans of this show. I'm really thankful that you guys have been very supportive of us. And I can't say enough good things about that. If you do like what you're hearing, if it's your first time, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. If I get to 100 subscriptions or subscribers, I'm going to do something crazy, like jump out of a plane, and we're going to fucking tape it. I'm terrified of heights, so I'll do that.
Okay.
And also, we're trying to get Justin to do it, too.
Nice.
Stone?
Yeah.
So, I told him, you have to do it with me. And he's like, I'm not doing that. And I'm like, you have to. He finally said yes. So we have to get to 100 subscribers.
Be like the A-Team, just drug him like they did Mr. T. Get him on the plane.
I wake him up right before we jump out of the plane and go, all right, wake up. Where are we? So long. And just fucking throw him. Okay, so let's get down to the nitty gritty. We're talking wrestling, okay? So before we continue, I want you guys to meet Joe. Joe was so kind enough to come down here and do the podcast with us. I met you, like a year ago?
About
a year ago.
Yeah.
So you're brothers to Felicia, who happens to be married to one of my best friends. And here's the thing. I didn't fucking know you were a wrestling fan until the 4th of July.
Yeah, just randomly started talking about wrestling, I feel like.
Well, no, you usually wear, we're at big events.
So I'm dressed nice.
He's always in his nice dressed clothes. And you were wearing a Seth Rollins Burn It Down shirt. As soon as I saw that shit, I was like, Seth Rollins? You're like, goddamn right, bro. He's the best. So tell me, I'm trying to build credibility for us because if you're a wrestling fan and you're listening to this, we kind of have to show you, we know wrestling. We've been around the block. Sure.
No, I've been watching wrestling my whole life, since as long as I can remember. There was never a moment I wasn't watching wrestling. My father was a big wrestling fan when I was born. I always attribute to how long it's been to a old photo I have when I was an infant baby laying on my father's chest and my father's laying on the couch. And in that photo in the background is a picture of Junkyard Dog on the television, an old wrestler. So I always attribute to, there you go, that's how long I've been watching wrestling for. You could call me a bit of a mark for WWE, I guess. I will defend them at times, even when they're terrible.
A little bit. I'm a mark, bro.
So, I've always been a big wrestling fan. I'm into the independents. I'm not a huge independent wrestling fan, but I do follow the Ring of Honor, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and WWE, and I've been doing it my whole life. I used to have a VHS collection that was bigger than anyone else's that you could imagine, with all just 6 to 8 hours worth of wrestling on them. And
did you ever go to SmackDown or Raw when you were a
kid?
Of
course. I've been to just about every big WWE event there is.
Really?
I've been to 2 WrestleManias. I've been to SummerSlam. I've been to Survivor Series, a couple of those in-between ones like a Hell in a Cell or even King of the Ring. I've been to everything.
You've been
that
to
WWE
all
has.
That shit.
Yeah, I've been to all of them. I've more than I could even tell you,
remember
honestly.
the first one?
No, I was way too young. I remember the stories of me going as a young kid. Like my dad telling me I used to march up and down the stairs with the foam Hacksaw Jim Duggan 2x4 in the arena, going, ho, and getting the fans around me laughing because I'm a little kid marching up and down. so I couldn't even remember it myself. But I do remember the stories.
"Oh."
Yeah, I do remember the stories being told of how I used to act at the wrestling events. But that's what I'm saying. I've been to so many I couldn't even tell you. One of the earliest ones I remember with the Boy Scouts of America. I was with the Boy Scouts.
Oh
and,
my! They took you to a wrestling
The Boy
event?
Scouts had a wrestling event at Madison Square Garden. I didn't even know that. Like that was random. You know that happened. And I remember that event is one of my.
How old were you for that?
I mean, I'm not even sure. How old are you in the Boy Scouts? I mean, you know, I
6 maybe?
Yeah,
7?
maybe, you know, that young. Yeah, like 6, 7. You know, I'm like really young. I just remember that's one of the first ones I can really remember going to, you know, as a small child. And it had like Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair and Sid Justice. They were the big main eventers that were there.
You saw Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair
and Sid Justice.
Sid
And
Justice.
it was a battle royal in the
would've
main
shit my
event. I
pants.
remember that. It was a big battle royal. It was like you know what happened? They actually did the ending to the 1992 Royal Rumble, if anybody remembers that, with,
Yeah.
you know, Ric Flair.
Ric Flair winning that
Yeah,
shit.
Ric Flair wins it. And
Hulk Hogan's such a dick.
Sid dumps Hogan over the top and then
Yeah.
pulls Sid out. They kind of did the same thing, but in reverse. It was Sid who got dumped out, and then he pulled. I'm sorry, the other way around. It was Sid who got pulled out. That's right. At the house show, Sid got pulled out and pulled Hogan over the top rope, and Flair won the Battle Royal. And at the Royal Rumble, it was reversed. It was Hogan who got thrown out and pulled Sid over the top rope.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So,
All right.
I remember that. That's like the earliest memory, I guess, I have of going to an event.
I think for me, the first time I saw wrestling, for real, like meeting them, was I think I was like 6. We were in Orlando, Florida, and I guess that's where they did Bash at the Beach one time.
W.C.W.
Yeah, and I fucking saw. I want to say it was Bret Hart, but I'm not. I think it was Bret Hart. Like he was-
Sure. It could be like 98, 99 maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I saw him. So I was older. I was probably like 10,
Yeah. Okay.
maybe 10 or 9 years old, and I saw him. And I'm
Bret
like,
Hart in WCW puts it about 1998, I'd say.
And he's like signing autograph. My brother, my older brother, is getting his autograph, and he's at the table. They took a picture. We have the picture too. It's somewhere in my parents' house, and I'm like, I'm just looking at his arm, and the thing looked bigger than my whole body.
On Bret Hart, of all people.
Dude, and Bret Hart's not the biggest guy.
Exactly.
Dude, but he's like signing the paper, and his fucking arm is like, oh God, I want to kill this pencil. And I'm like, oh, it's Bret Hart, I love you.
Yeah.
I don't even know who you are, but cool. And then I started watching. But here's the thing. That was when I first saw wrestlers. I think what got me into wrestling was, remember the WrestleMania game for Nintendo?
Sure.
With Hulk Hogan ripping his shirt.
Yeah.
So I had that, and it was like, dun, 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 you turn it on, you're like, oh my God, this is. I mean, it's a terrible game, but I love playing
Back
it.
then, it was great.
It was the greatest game of all time.
Yeah, sure. I had them all. Yeah.
And then because of video games. So video games, I started watching WWF. Now, my parents didn't want me watching that shit because my mom is like really religious, and I watched the Ministry of Defense. Is that what they're called?
No, the Ministry of Darkness.
The Ministry of Darkness.
Undertaker's
yeah,
group.
Undertaker stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So he's coming out with all the and they were crucifying
Yeah,
Stephanie
everyone. Yeah,
McMahon.
Stephanie, Stone Cold, whoever
Stone
else.
Cold,
Yeah.
and they were crucifying him. And my mom's like, "You can't watch this shit." And she turned it off. I'm like, "But no, look how cool it is."
That's a crazy era for me because during that exact era you're talking about, I'm such a big wrestling fan. I remember in school, my history teacher, Mr. Smith. Shout out to Mr. Smith. I haven't said
We
that
love
name
you.
haven't said that name in years. I don't know.
Yeah, isn't that
but anyway,
weird?
yeah. So I remember every Tuesday history class would be like Monday Night Raw discussion. You know, like we would come in and I'd bring like a VHS tape for him that I taped, like, you know, and we would just talk about wrestling every Tuesday in history class. You know, it was like a free period almost. You know, like, you know, that's, again, my passion for wrestling. That's how long it goes. Like, even in school, like, I couldn't be stopped. Teachers couldn't have a class if Monday Night Raw was on last night.
You know, it's funny. Back when I was a kid, we couldn't watch wrestling because it was a come on too late, and it would end at 11. That's how it still is.
Yeah.
And so Monday Night Raw, I couldn't watch. I could watch SmackDown, but I couldn't watch Raw. So we wouldn't watch it. Like at first, I would watch the first hour, but I would get pissed off because like they'd always set up. You know, like Stone Cold would come out and be like, you know what, I'm Stone Cold Steve Austin.
And you were going to bed before the
Before like the
event.
payoff. He's like, I'll see you tonight at the match that we're going to have. And I'm like, I can't wait. Oh, I got to go to sleep. Fuck. So my friend, he started recording it on his VHS. And he would record the whole Raw, Monday Night Raw, and then we would just fast forward through it.
Yeah.
And so technically, it's like we were ahead of the curve. Like, I'm not watching commercials. And we'd
Exactly,
fast forward
yeah.
through all that shit and get right to the good
Remember,
stuff.
we're old kids. This is before the internet.
Yeah,
you know? We had VHS tapes. You know?
Yeah, if anybody, you can Google that. Google what VHSs are. But like, so we would go over and like, he'd be like, you guys ready to watch Raw? And he recorded every fucking.
Yeah. That's how I was. Yeah, recording everything.
And he says you only have 1 week to watch it because I use the same tape. I just record over it. So that's what we did.
Yeah.
We just did that.
I used to start my VHSs with a pay-per-view, and then try to edit and record, as much as Raw and Nitro too at the back of the tape, and fill up my 6 to 8 hours worth of VHS with all Raws and Nitros from the weeks after the pay-per-view. Pretty much how they all started.
So he would use. So he had two tapes that he would use. He would use one for Raw, and then he would use one for pay-per-views. Because we'd all pick who's going to pay for the. So we'd all throw in money.
Yeah, sure.
So we'd be like, I got $5. Oh, I only got $3. Oh, you bitch! You're not eating any chips.
Yeah.
Or something like. And we'd go to.
I'm gonna lie and claim that I paid for all those pay-per-views. I'll just leave it at that.
Oh snap! You had the illegal cable. Well, that's a New York thing, I think. New Yorkers are like that. He's from Staten Island, so that's how we are. We're very resourceful. When you live in the Big Apple, dude, you have to be.
Yeah.
Everything's fucking expensive. Like you've been watching wrestling since you were a kid. What was your? And you've been to a bunch of events. What was your favorite event?
I'm a big Royal Rumble fan. I love the Royal Rumble. I love the concert. Love the match. I went to the 2008 Royal Rumble, Madison Square Garden, and that was a lot of fun. Except John Cena ruined my Royal Rumble at the end. Spoiler alert.
Yeah. If you didn't.
but otherwise, yeah, that was one of my favorite events. And there's been a couple. Like I said, there's so many. It's hard to just pick like off the top of my head. But I went to like a Hell in a Cell event that was really good with Undertaker and CM Punk for the World Championship. That was a good event.
Oh my God, I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah.
That one had Umaga.
Royal Rumble. You looking up?
Yeah.
Yeah. Royal Rumble. Royal Rumble 2008.
Umaga defeated Jim Dugan. Snitsky. Oh my God, I forgot about Snitsky.
Wait. You're not on the right. That's not Royal Rumble 2008.
Oh, that was the qualification.
Might be
matches.
some kind of qualification match of some sort. Sure.
Yeah.
But
so
they had like Ric Flair was on his retirement tour. He fought MVP. I remember Jeff Hardy, Randy Orton. I remember
Ric Flair defeated MVP.
Right.
Submission.
JBL and Chris Jericho. But then the Royal Rumble match was really good. There was a lot of stars, and I think it started with like Undertaker and Shawn Michaels as 1 and 2, which was awesome.
Yep.
And then Batista was in there, and CM Punk was in there, and John Cena made a surprise return. Triple H was in it. So there was a lot of superstars in it. And I remember sitting across the street at one of the restaurants next to Madison Square Garden, and we were talking about how it was unpredictable. Nobody could win because John Cena was injured at the time. So without John Cena there, who was on his quote-unquote Roman Reigns run at the time, being pushed to the moon. Without him there, it was like, oh, who's going to win? You can't, we had no idea. Right. And then number 30, John Cena's music hit. The place erupted, not necessarily in a good way, but the place erupted. And
they booed the shit out of it.
Yeah, John Cena came in there. I got to admit it, that one particular time was...
How loud was it?
It was so loud that it wasn't even necessarily boos. It was like mass confusion. It was people were freaking out. Yeah, like, how did this happen? He was supposed to be gone like 9 months to a year. It had been 3 months from a broken neck, and there's John Cena winning the Royal Rumble, and people were... not happy, but at the same time, it got a response, which I guess is what they look for. So
for me, I was watching, and I was really intrigued by, Stone Cold Steve Austin, obviously, because he would just be like, fuck you, and give his fingers. And I'm like, God, that's how I am.
Doing what everybody wanted to do, punch the boss in the face.
Because I was in school, right? And I would always tell my teachers to go fuck themselves. I'd give them the fingers. I'd say, kiss my ass. I was just a bad kid.
You were a great student.
Oh, I was straight A. Straight edge. But, and so I watched him. And that's what WWF was.
Yeah, it was great.
And it was called WWF.
Yeah, WWF at the time.
At the time. They took the F out. So, that was actually their motto. Mm-hmm. But, Stone Cold Steve Austin giving the fingers, even The Rock.
Mm-hmm. Oh, The Rock's great.
The Rock actually did something awesome. Because I used to do, when I used to do backyard wrestling, and I would do things heelish on purpose because I enjoyed people getting mad at me.
Sure.
Like people just going, you're an asshole. Like, all right, guys, let's have this Fatal 4 match, but you know what? My title's not on the line. What the fuck? And then the winner gets a shot at the title.
Yeah.
But what if you win? Guess you guys don't deserve a shot at the title.
Great.
So I was such a dick, and I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
And when The Rock would tell the fans, like, go fuck yourselves. You didn't like me? Well, kiss my ass. I'm like, oh my God. His name was Rocky Maivia.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, I don't know what's up with this guy, but he's awesome.
Yeah.
So I started liking him.
So he turned the curve as soon as he did that. As soon as the fans crapped on him because he was one of the early versions of that quote unquote John Cena push, that Roman Reigns push. The company has just decided this guy's gonna win, and the fans backlashed on him hard, and that was like 96, 97. And they didn't learn their lesson. Let's just say, since they continue to do that.
Oh, we're gonna get to those topics. We're gonna get to those topics real quick. Before we get there, here's a precursor. I was huge on WWE. I watched the shit out of it. And I'm sure you did too.
Right,
Everybody
of course.
was at the top of the world. Then they bought WCW. Now, WCW versus WWF at the time, amazing, dude.
Sure. If you look it up, I mean, I don't know the exact numbers, but I know there was like 10 million people watching wrestling.
Their ratings were
every Monday night.
Their ratings were on like around 6,
Right.
anywhere
on
from
each show.
Yeah,
On each show. Right.
anywhere from 6.5 to 8 million people watching.
Right.
Which, in my opinion, is fucking insane.
And like I said, that's on each show. So you add that up, it's over 10 million or over 10 million people a week just watching wrestling, whether it's Raw or Nitro at the time.
Yeah. And the thing is, Nitro was doing a lot of new shit, like with the N.W.O.
Sure.
When Hulk Hogan, turning heel. Biggest moment in wrestling history.
Absolutely.
One of the biggest moments. Him turning his back and the fans throwing the fucking garbage on him. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
How is he like, that's it. He's over. They hate him.
Yeah.
And I love it. I
Yeah.
loved every second of it. I'm like, this is a big moment. Look at I never thought I'd see the day.
Right. Well,
start
me
throwing
growing up
trash.
as a huge Hulkamaniac fan as a young kid, but
Actually, tell the fans about your tattoo.
I do have a Hulk Hogan tattoo on my
It
on
is
my left leg.
That
which
is
I'm-
the picture from the WrestleMania.
Yeah, with him tearing the T-shirt, the championship belt, and
And he
very
looks-
proud of it.
He looks like fucking Shrek. No, it looks beautiful. It's
No, I love.
really well done.
Yeah, I'm a big, like I said, big Hulkamaniac growing up, but even me at the time, because whether wrestling had their finger on the pulse of society at the time, it was the right time to make Hogan a bad guy. Because even me as a young Hulkamaniac, I was bored with that whole gimmick. I'm getting a little older, and like you said, Stone Cold's on the rise, that attitude's on the rise, and I'm a young kid, and it was the right shift in wrestling to make Hogan the bad guy and bring in the N.W.O. and all that stuff. It was the right time. If you were following wrestling like I was as a young boy, and you're growing up the same time wrestling is shifting, it was a great time in the wrestling business, and that's why they had the 10 million people a week watching.
It's interesting because W.C.W. they needed something to happen, and Eric Bischoff knew it. And when he saw opportunity, there was people, and this is actually going to go towards another topic I want to talk about, and I'll save it. But Eric Bischoff seeing wrestlers leaving WWE because they weren't happy or for whatever reason, he saw opportunity there, and he's like, you know what? Instead of just having them show up on my show randomly, I'm going to run with this. And he did that invasion thing.
Right.
You're the outsiders.
Right.
Which makes me angry because you had perfect outline and blueprints on how to do it successfully, because he was able to put WWE almost on their knees at some point. They almost lost.
Yeah. Well, they were losing
Until WWE won and they bought WCW. The fact that you already knew, hey, we almost lost because that was a fucking awesome idea. Why did they drop the ball? How do you drop the ball?
Yeah.
You have these WCW talents, and you fuck it up the way they did.
I mean, not to sound so much like a nerd here, but I watch all that wrestling stuff still. I hang out with my friends. We're watching 1997 Raws and Nitros. I'm watching the good era right now as we speak in my leisure time. But we asked ourselves the same question. We watching it. It's like a company at that moment in time with the backing of Ted Turner, who was already a billionaire, I guess, at that time or close to. He just. How do you lose? You had everything in place. You were hot. The storylines were great. The ratings were high, and it was just like, you continue watching it. I mean, I'm watching that 97 era now, but like you get to like 99, and it's like, it's so bad at some points in WCW, and like, you could see on the product why they lost, but you just wonder like, how do you, there was a other podcast recently with Eric Bischoff on it, and he spoke about how like he turned the company from losing 20 million into profiting 300 million, and it's like, how do you lose,
Well, I was talking about, I know how WCW lost. They're stupid.
Yeah.
I'm talking about WWF. When you acquire those wrestlers to come on, and now you can do the invasion angle, and they tried it.
Oh, that invasion. I'm sorry.
How
Yeah,
did
that's
they
what you meant.
fuck that up?
Yeah, no, that's a whole nother. Yeah, who knows? They couldn't get the right stars. Booker T and DDP were the only.
But
The
still,
only
you could
true.
do something with
No,
them.
you could do something with it, but they were the only true WCW faces that came along. I mean, everyone else, Lance Storm or whoever, they weren't. Yeah, they're
Canyon
not,
was okay.
Canyon
but,
too,
like,
but those aren't like those. Those aren't WCW pillars. Those aren't WCW icons. If
Well,
you will,
I think the reason why was this is Vince McMahon being a little bitch. This is I can't. There's no way to put it. He's being a little bitch, and he's like, "Well, I'm going to make my guys look awesome."
Of course,
You got to
He
make
won-
them
he,
look
He
awesome.
won the war, and that was his. Yeah.
But here's the thing: you could have done an angle. This is what I would have done. You could have had an angle where these guys now come on the product and they dominate because you won, but make the WCW guys look like they're better, right? And here's why: because you make them look awesome. You make them look like that strong heel, right? Because the WWE fans are not going to fucking, they're going to be like, I'm not going to cheer these guys, right? They come on, they look strong, but they're cheating, right? And then you build a storyline. Now, because it'll be like, they'll come on and they'll beat Stone Cold Steve Austin, they'll beat The Rock, they'll beat Undertaker, they'll beat Kane.
They just didn't have the superstar power to beat the WWF superstar power at the time.
No, I would do the storyline like this. I would do it like they're beating these strong guys, right? Like Stone Cold and The Rocks and Triple H's and Shawn Michaels, but they're doing it in a way where they're cheating because Stone Cold and The Rock and Undertaker are not
unified under the WWE umbrella.
See?
Right.
And then it's writing itself. All of a sudden you go, Stone Cold and The Rock. Can you imagine having a conversation where like, listen, I know we have our differences. I know we hate each other.
Right.
But right now, we're being attacked.
Yeah.
And we need to work together.
Well, they did, in their own way, they did a similar thing with the lower, a little bit lower guys on the roster. But like, I understand what you're saying. But like, my only argument to that is that they didn't bring in the star power right away. Like, you could do that, but at the same time, no offense to DDP and Booker T, who are definitely legends, they're in the Hall of Fame and all that. But, at the time, you have DDP and Booker T are the only true main event kind of guys. Then who else you going to use that's strictly WCW at that moment in time? Lance Storm, like I said, Lance Storm, he's not necessarily a guy you see and think WCW, but you had, like you said, Canyon.
I think Canada would.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You had Canyon, and that was like it. And then until they did the whole incorporating ECW into the storyline, where now you had some Dudley Boys, you had Ryan on that side too. But otherwise, those guys weren't going to get in a ring and beat. And even like you said, they could cheat and get some wins in, but I don't think there was a marquee match that you wanted to see at that moment with those guys, I
think it's the way the creative team worked it. Like
a year later when they got the N.W.O, that was a little better, but at the same time, Hogan took over. Yeah, Hulkamania took over.
He was like, "Oh my God, my baby's back." He started sucking that dick again. That's what he did. Hulk Hogan,
they jumped right on the Hulkamania.
It's like Hulk Hogan shows up and he's like, "Hey, remember those days?"
Yeah.
And
I gotta admit, I was a reborn Hulkamaniac at that moment.
Hell
in time
yeah,
too, though.
Everyone was.
Yeah, when he had the match with The Rock, that's the match. It turned him a good guy, whether they liked it or not. But
that's
now the rebirth of Hulkamania.
Before I get to that topic,
Yeah.
I want to bring it back to the DDP thing.
Yeah.
So DDP, do you remember how he came in? He was stalking.
Oh,
he was a
stalking
stalker.
the Undertaker's wife.
What the fuck?
I have no idea.
Why would you do that?
Nobody knows.
That's the dumbest.
Especially when he had Kimberly in WCW, and if you're trying to play off an invasion of WCW, then that Diamond Dallas Page, has a pretty smoking hot wife.
Yeah,
Kimberly.
I'm gonna stalk yours though. Like, what the fuck is that about?
It really made no sense.
The dumbest idea.
Yeah,
there is another way you could have used DDP.
A million different ways.
But they wanted to trash him.
Yeah,
that's how the WWE. That's how Vince McMahon was.
Mm-hmm.
He's just like, I didn't make you. Make him a fucking rapist.
Right.
And I don't like him. That's how that's how I look at it.
Sure.
Looking back on it, I see Vince McMahon's fucking signature all over that.
Sure.
Destroying it.
Yeah, that's what happened. It only lasted 4 to 6 months, like you said. It could have been an N.W.O 2-year run.
You can't bounce back from that.
Nah,
DDP's done.
Yeah,
and I hated that.
Sure.
I guess Booker T was different, but they still.
Well, Booker T crawled out of a deep hole, though. He was in a deep hole.
You know what makes me angry?
King Booker changed his whole career.
And he should have won that championship match in WrestleMania against Triple H.
Right. That was the ultimate. That was the final burial for Booker T that you didn't think he'd recover from. Like I said, credit goes all to him for coming out of that hole eventually, but he got pretty destroyed in that,
because
moment
Vince
in time.
McMahon, he doesn't want anybody that he didn't create to be good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's showing right now.
It's shown in the years. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's still showing.
And then look what happens when you have a WWE, quote unquote, WWE creation in a John Cena, Roman Reigns.
Oh yeah, he's blowing
Rocky
them
Maivia.
all day.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean, like those. That's what happens. You can see it.
Man
you see it a mile away all the time.
It's all about the look too. Like he's got a certain look that he wants.
Absolutely.
And it annoys the shit out of me because it's like, well, Daniel Bryan proved that it's not all about being fucking
a certain look,
giant monster.
Sure.
You don't have to be a giant monster. No. You can be a small guy, and it's just about the heart that he has and the wrestling ability. He's not even that good on the mic.
Right.
But his in-ring ability and the fans' connection with him, because he's the underdog, that resonates. Right. How do you not see that?
Absolutely.
It writes itself sometimes. Like Stone Cold Steve Austin, that's not Vince McMahon. Stone Cold said, him and his wife were talking, and he said, well, like I don't want to be the ringmaster. It's a shitty gimmick. That's the gimmick.
Yeah,
think of it.
They told him think of a new name, right?
And then she said, "Call yourself Stone Cold," because he said I touched something.
Tea,
and it was.
I think it was a tea, like drink your tea for Stone Cold. I read that in his book. I believe
like, that's a great. No, he said Stone Cold, and then she's like, "That's what you need to call yourself."
Yeah,
call yourself Stone Cold Steve Austin, and that's it. He created that gimmick.
Sure,
not Vince McMahon.
Organically.
And the thing is, Vince McMahon, he went with it, which is weird because none of the none of the wrestlers are trying, or maybe they are. He's just telling him, "Shut up, I'm Vince McMahon. Why aren't you kissing my feet?"
Yeah.
He's like senile now.
Well, WWE has like that whole entertainment complex. You know, they do end up shitting on the more technical and good in-ring performer as opposed to the more charismatic guy. You know, that guy Enzo Amore, you know, a guy like that gets pushed because he's really good on the mic, not necessarily he's good in the ring, you know, other guys like that. But, you know, and then meanwhile you got a guy like Cesaro, you know, sitting on the sidelines winning tag belts, not in the main event picture. But that's how they do it, you know, unfortunately. You know, that he has that Hollywood entertainment approach.
So here's the thing. After the Invasion era, after they messed that up, they started pushing John Cena down our throats. And it's so weird because it's not like they didn't have talent. They had a lot of talent. They just weren't pushing them.
Yeah.
And the product just started getting stale.
Yeah.
And I stopped watching because I was saying, I don't want John Cena to be the guy.
I feel like a lot of people did in that early 2000s era. They just
pushed him.
Yeah.
And he was being like thugonomics and this. And
Well,
I thought that was a slap to the face.
I think at first, even with the thugonomics thing, at the very beginning of it, it wasn't as bad. You know, he was like young on SmackDown doing the thing, and I don't think anybody looked at it like a main event push. But yeah, when they pulled the trigger on him, though, it was like to the moon. He was unstoppable. He transferred over to Raw with the title, and
a lot of fans are going to.
He hasn't lost a match since now, you know. But it feels
he
like
turned
that
into
almost.
Superman.
Yeah, right.
A lot of fans are not going to. They're probably not going to like that I'm about to say this, but I stopped watching wrestling. I completely said, "Fuck this! I'm not watching it anymore."
Right.
And I stopped for like 4 or 5 years. Then I met John and Frank, and you know they were really still huge wrestling fans, and I haven't talked about wrestling in so long. But the way they were talking about it was like it brought me back to when I was a kid. So I started talking wrestling, and I was just telling them the things that I liked back then.
Right.
And we started reminiscing. All of a sudden, they said, "You want to watch wrestling again?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "We'll take you to a wrestling event." I'm like, "I don't want to watch Raw or SmackDown. I'm done with that shit." And they're like, No. I'm going to take you to a wrestling event. It's the old school wrestling." So they took me to R.O.H. in Philadelphia.
Oh, yeah, Ring of Honor. Yep.
So we went to Ring of Honor, and I bet you guys are going to know some of these names. We go to Ring of Honor, and it's in like a shitty, almost like a shitty warehouse in Philly. And we're sitting there, and we're watching the matches. Now, the matches, I was watching moves that were done that they just don't happen anymore in WWE. They're doing backflips and front flips off the top of the ropes. They were doing chair shots to the head.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
What's going on? Now, I'm going to name a couple of wrestlers that I saw that I fell in love with. The first wrestler that I was like, that's it. It's all about this. I want to watch this guy. His name is Generico. If you know who that is, he's Sami Zayn. Now, he was a luchador, but he called himself Generico because he's just a generic luchador guy. And I'm like, that's it. That's the best gimmick I've ever heard in my life. And he was doing crazy moves, and I just loved it because he was a comical guy, but he was doing insane moves, and he won.
He probably came with Kevin Steen then, right?
Kevin Steen. And then his name was Claudio at the time, but his name is Antonio Cesaro in WWE.
Yeah.
He did something so amazing. He was doing he had a guy almost like torture rack position, and he was like spinning with him in the middle of the ring. And then he's holding him with his arms over his head, right? And then he lets go and puts his arms at his side.
And he's spinning with the guy on his head.
And he continues to spin. I was like, whoa, what is this? Dude, I swear to you, man, I was going insane. I felt like a kid in my living room watching WWF, except I'm watching ROH. And I'm like, I'm hooked. So now I'm like, dude, I need another fix. Because, you know, if you're a wrestling fan, if you watch an awesome match, dude, it's like doing crack. Because like the next day, you just want to talk to someone like, oh my God, you see last night? Oh, it was so cool. Remember that move? And then you guys are like fucking jerking off in the middle of class pretty much. And then you just can't wait to watch SmackDown at that point because Raw's on Monday, SmackDown's on Thursday at the time. And I'm like, I can't wait for Thursday now. What's going to be the repercussions for what happened on Raw? And so that's how I felt after ROH. So I was like, let's just watch something. So they said, you know what? I don't know if you watched this WrestleMania. I was like, I don't watch wrestling anymore. So like, let me show you this WrestleMania match. They showed me the match with Shawn Michaels and Undertaker, the very first WrestleMania match.
Yeah, what a great match.
So I watched that match, dude. I almost cried.
Yeah.
It was just a masterpiece.
It shows you, the potential of what can really happen when you get in there with top caliber, people. You know, like that match was one of the best matches anyone has ever seen.
And the story they tell. They tell a story in the match.
Psychological story involved, you know.
It's almost like watching ballet, I guess. You're just watching people perfectly synchronize with one another, and they're choreographing all of these moves that are extremely dangerous to do. And at any moment, somebody can get severely injured or even die, right? But they masterfully perfected that match and were able to administer all those
and you're
moves.
Emotionally invested.
Absolutely,
that's the
dude.
thing, you know. That's what makes it great television. That's what makes it sports entertainment. You're emotionally invested in whoever's going to win this match or what's going to happen next, you know.
And another thing that they seem to forget is there's an attachment to the awe-inspiring moves that they do, because we're watching athletic maneuvers not a lot of people can do, but they're doing it. And that's another thing. That almost gravitates the performance.
Which wrestling, I feel like, has a history of being overlooked for their athleticism and the things they're doing.
The first thing is, it's fake.
Right,
it's not real. I'm like, dude, go jump off the fucking top rope and do a backflip on that guy's neck, and don't hurt anybody in the process.
Right.
And you got to make it look real.
Right.
All at the same time, and then you got to sell it. You got to sell as if you were hurt. Like, do that, all that.
I promise you, when you're watching someone sell something, you know, that looks like it hurts, I promise you it hurts. You know, it's just like, you know, there is a big difference to knowing.
You were going to plug something, right? Weren't you in a wrestling? You're in a wrestling thing, so you know firsthand.
I was waiting for, be on the lookout for Uprise Wrestling. Nice underground movement. It's coming, but we'll talk. I can talk about that later.
Talk about that later. So you know firsthand.
Yeah, I know firsthand. You know, like you trust me. Everything does hurt, but there's a different degree when you know something's coming. Obviously, maybe you're a little mentally more prepared for it than when something just than when a 300-pound guy out of nowhere lands on your chest. You know what I mean? You know, when you're a little more prepared for it. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, they're not just selling it, pretending. They're selling. There's a degree of pain going on at all times.
I want somebody to tell me.
Like JR would say, "Tell me how they learned how to fall off a 20-foot ladder."
Don't get me started. I love JR. You talk about a Texas ass whooping. Oh my God, he just shattered to pieces. But I would say, try to fake picking somebody up on your shoulders who weighs 250, 300 pounds, and then slamming them on the ground. Be that guy. Go ahead. Tell me if it's fake.
Yeah.
Remember that clip on Facebook? Not on Facebook, on YouTube. Forget the name of the wrestler, but somebody goes, "Wrestling's fake, right?" And he's like, "What did you say?" I'm like, "Wrestling is fake." And then he slaps the taste out of that guy.
Reporter? Yeah.
He slaps the reporter.
Dr. D, David Schultz.
Yeah. And the guy goes, and he's like, "Did that feel fake? Huh? You son of a bitch."
What about Vader? I don't know if you remember in the 97, Vader got held in Korea or something like that. Like he was on a talk show in Korea and he grabbed up the reporter by the collar, and Vader was like trapped in I don't know if it was Korea, I might be wrong, but it was like some foreign country. But he grabbed up the reporter like, "Oh, you think it's fake?" You know, and Vader got arrested. And there was like a whole thing on Raw. They were like, "Free Vader." Like Vader was arrested for like a week in a foreign country.
Wow.
For defending the wrestling business.
Speaking of Vader, there's a story I heard where his eye popped out of his face.
Sure, wrestling Stan Hansen.
His
eyeball popped out of his face. He put it right back in and continued wrestling.
Sick bastard, man. And he's like the nicest guy.
Yeah.
I heard they shit on him. That's another guy they buried.
Well, yeah.
You talk about
different
burials,
eras,
man.
different times. Yeah.
So what got me back into wrestling was R.O.H. And I was watching just highlights. Like they were showing me all the things I missed because I missed a lot. So they're saying, "Let me show you some of the matches that you missed over the years," and they were just showing me the best.
Right. Of WWE now you're talking
of
about.
WWE.
Right. After getting back into it through Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank goodness for John and Frank. Right. I don't even know. Maybe it's actually a bad thing that got me back into wrestling. So I'm watching it and I'm like enjoying every second of it. And then finally, he tells me, "Dude, you gotta watch Raw." And I'm like, "What? No, I'm not watching it, dude. I'm told you, I'm done." He's like, "One of the greatest things ever just happened." And I'm like, "What was that?" "Watch it." So I watched it, and it was CM Punk's pipe bomb.
Oh yeah, okay.
And I'm telling you, man,
it's a way to get hooked back in.
Yeah. And he's shitting on John Cena of all people. "You know what, John? You know why I hate you? Because you're a company man."
Yeah.
And he talks shit about Vince McMahon, and he talks
and Triple H and Stephanie.
He called them morons.
Yeah.
He's like his idiot son-in-law, his moron daughter.
Yeah.
And then here's what sold it for me, to make it seem like this is real. I don't know if he's supposed to be saying this.
Right.
He goes, "You know what else? Fuck you to the audience."
Yeah.
And he's like, "It's all your fault too, because you're gonna keep paying for the tickets, and you're gonna keep buying the merchandise, and you're gonna shove it in my face to get a signature, and I don't give a shit what you guys have to say."
I feel like it might be, don't quote me on it, but it might be like the first time that Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling were both mentioned and that CM Punk promo, which in itself is like fourth wall breaking, almost,
You talked about
craziness.
Colt Cabana.
Yeah, it's Colt Cabana who's not in the company. WWE has that history of never mentioning or
Yeah.
never acknowledging anything that goes on outside. And that was one of the first times, at least that I can remember off the top of my head. But
He says that, man, and I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah.
What did I just watch?
Gives you that sense of realism, and that's what sucks you back in as like a fan.
Yep.
And then they do something else corny.
Well,
you start to question yourself.
Well, they ran with it. They ran with it for a while. Like CM
Yeah.
Punk was big, and he took off after that. And then they made him a champion. Remember, he had the match in
Yeah.
Chicago with John Cena.
Yeah, and he held it for like 430 days or something.
Which now is
434.
over because of fucking bullshit and Brock Lesnar. But that's another story. But here's the thing. That got wrestling fans that were, for any reason,
On
just
the fence.
on
yeah.
the fence, and other fans like me who left, right? There's the thing. A lot of fans who are still wrestling fans, who stayed wrestling fans, will call me a piece of shit for leaving, turn my
Right.
back on them. I didn't turn my back on wrestling. Wrestling turned its back on me.
Right, sure.
What happened to the wrestling, the Attitude Era?
Sure.
That's what I grew up with, right? And that's what I fell in love with. And then they said, we're going PG now.
Yeah.
Who turned its back on who?
Right.
I didn't turn my back on them. They said,
Right.
fuck you, Brian.
Right.
We're not making it for you anymore. Even though you're the reason why we're so big, kiss my ass. We got to get the kids now. And I'm like, so who turned their back?
Yeah.
You expect me to stay with a company that said fuck you to me? That's how I took it. So that's a thing that fans today, they get really defensive. When I see on YouTube, because I watch a lot of podcasts and I watch a lot of YouTube videos and people like doing their commentary on WWE. I look in the comments. Anytime they say something negative about WWE, there's fans that go on and go, "Oh, you're a stupid bitch. Maybe they didn't do what you liked." And it's like, dude, well, then why am I watching if I don't like it? Like, it's like if you're selling chocolates and I go, "Oh, I don't like you put shit in your chocolates." Well, I don't like that. I guess I should still buy it anyways. Like,
yeah. Well, that's like me being a dedicated fan. Like I said, I am a mark for the WWE. They're always going to get my money. I hate that too, but it is true. I just, that's my passion. I am going to always watch it, but yeah, you're not always happy with what's going on, and you get frustrated. And I don't defend it as a wrestling fan sometimes because you can't. Well, when I have the casual fan over who has an idea about wrestling, because if you're my friend in real life, trust me, you know about wrestling. But when my friends are over, they don't watch wrestling. But then, you see something stupid go on, and it is hard to defend at times. And I just feel like they don't understand that, you look at the last 10 years, and I guess John Cena has officially become a bit of pop culture now. People know who he is now.
He's in movies and
He's in
everything,
movies and stuff. So I guess John Cena maybe has crossed that bridge at this moment in time.
But he crossed the free bridge.
Crashed the free but a guy like Roman Reigns, like, I still don't see how in another 5 years from now, where he's now had a 10-year run, is anyone going to argue he's a pillar of WWE? I don't think so.
No.
You got Rock, Stone Cold, Hulk Hogan, even Andre the Giant,
foundation right
Triple
there,
H to a degree. These guys are arguably pillars of the WWE and pillars of wrestling iconicness. Rowdy Piper, all those guys. But like
They transcend.
they
wrestling.
transcend, right? It's I always make a joke about how my 90-year-old grandmother and my 10-year-old brother, if they both know who you are in the wrestling business, then you did something right.
Yeah.
If they both know who you are, even I'll give you a funny name like Coco Beware. There's a guy who's not a main eventer, but everyone remembers the guy with the bird.
I was gonna say the gobbledygook.
Yeah, everybody remembers the guy with the bird. Everybody remembers these things. Jake the Snake Roberts, he never won a world title. Everyone knows who he is. My 80-year-old grandmother, my 10-year-old brother, they all know who Jake the Snake Roberts is.
Here's the thing: people they mistake that like he did win a title, right? And
No,
you're like, no, he didn't.
No, Jake never
That's
won.
crazy.
But it's just the point. Like Roman Reigns, he's the main event guy. Like whether we all, listen, we're not happy about it, but it is what it is. Roman Reigns is the top guy in the business right now. One of the top guys in the business right now. WWE. Nobody knows who he is. I feel like
Nobody
what I
gives
mean.
a shit.
Nobody gives a shit. He hasn't transcended, and I don't know what is he going to do in the next 5 years. It's going to transcend. All he's getting is crapped on right now because he gets force fed, and people see through it now, and it's just whatever. And the funny part is, he's not even that bad. I'll defend WWE. Like I said, I'm here to defend him to a degree. He's not even that bad. It's just the point that
There are guys
we
that are
see
better.
It. Yeah, there are guys that are better, and we see the push happening. It's not, you're not hiding anything. You're not putting him in there with a guy, an anti-American to try to get cheers out of him.
Yeah.
And that doesn't work. Now we're just gonna crap on the match. That's what the fans have been doing. Because they don't care.
Here's I think the part of the argument that people seem to miss, because they're so quick to say, well, maybe you should shut up. Like, but here's the thing. They say they're going to push who they want. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But here's what's going to happen. When the fans connect to another wrestler, you are now ruining yourself, that wrestler, by cannibalizing him and using this guy instead.
Yeah.
If you have a guy like Daniel Bryan, or if Finn Balor or Kevin Owens,
Where the groundswell is there, the emotional support is there. People want to see these guys succeed.
or Samoa Joe, or I can name. I mean, I'll
Right,
name
you
them
can
all.
name a bunch of them, sure.
But when you see the fans are connecting with that, and that you see it, you said the ground is swelling for them. The fans don't see the push; they only see the rejection of who the fans want. That's, I think, the problem that people are missing. We don't care that you're pushing Roman Reigns. We are mad that you're pushing Roman Reigns
In spite of these guys.
in spite of these guys,
Right.
because these guys, you're throwing them aside. And you know what? This brings me to my topic now. I'm gonna move on with the Reddit.
Go ahead.
So I went on Reddit, and I asked, what kind of topics do you want to go over? Because there's no way I'm the only one who feels the way I feel. I feel like there's a direction WWE is going in that isn't good. And they said, shut up. Like, oh, it's not good? One guy said, I got into an argument with him too. He said, oh yeah? Well, WWE, how do you explain WWE's made $1 billion deal with Fox, and they're making more money than ever before, and da-da-da-da-da. And I said, I didn't say the company sucks in making money.
Right.
All I said is they're moving in a direction I don't think is good. Eventually, it's gonna. If you keep telling fans to go fuck themselves, it's gonna crash and burn eventually.
Listen, I don't pay attention to it on a hardcore level, but I do know that last week's Raw did like a bad rating,
It was the worst rating of all time for
Right.
Raw.
Right. So I'm saying, like, you know, that shows you something, you know, like we were just speaking earlier that over 10 million people were watching wrestling every Monday night once upon a time. And now we're struggling to get, 3 million,
Well, I said that. So I said, but it doesn't matter. If you say that to fans, to the hardcore fans who will just going to take the product no matter what,
Yeah.
they're going to have excuses for everything. And the excuse for that is, well, the decline of cable TV has been going down.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm thinking, if the decline of television TV, if people are cutting their cords and they're going to the internet, you would think they're still going to find a way to watch Raw.
Yeah.
But if they're not trying to find a way to watch Raw, guess what, dude? That means Raw is not good.
Right.
That's how I look at it. And I was saying, if you keep shitting on your fans long enough, we already have an example. The example I'm going to use, one would say WWE fans are almost like an anomaly. They're going to watch it regardless, right?
I could justify myself as one of them, I guess, to a degree. Sure.
But they're an anomaly, right? If like...
you keep getting shitted on, I keep coming back for more.
yeah, that's how we are.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the running gags is, oh my God, fucking WrestleMania was the worst. See you tomorrow.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
See you tomorrow. So that's the running gag.
Right.
But would you agree that Star Wars fans are the same as wrestling fans? They watch Star Wars and they eat it up. And they're kind of crazy too.
Yeah.
Look what just happened to Han Solo. So you got The Last Jedi, divided fans. Now the fans that were divided were saying, like, this is kind of annoying. They said, fuck you fans, you suck. You guys are a bunch of racist or womanizing pieces of shit, right? Really? That's the route you went? All right, we'll see you when Solo comes out. You can have this half then. That half was not enough. That was not enough, and Solo crashed and burned.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you for a fact, it's going to happen at WWE.
Yeah.
Because now, I told you, I watch the podcast, I watch wrestling news on YouTube constantly, but then I see they're not talking about storylines anymore. They're not talking about the product. All they're talking about is how WWE is pissing them off.
Right.
And it's weird because I watch Wrestle Talk.
Like you said, no one comes to the defense of the product in any sort of way.
Not anymore.
Yeah.
And that's bad. Because now, and you told me the other day when I first found out that you watch wrestling, you said you had a friend or two friends that came over to your house to watch Raw or SmackDown.
For Samoa Joe.
For Samoa
yeah,
Joe.
I told you. And he wasn't even on the episode.
Wasn't even on the product. And they said, well, fuck this. I'm not watching it anymore.
Right, and that was two guys. That was two friends of mine who don't watch wrestling on the regular. They just remember Samoa Joe from a few years back, and they're like, "Oh, he's in the WWE. I want to check that out. Like, let me see how they're using him. Let me see how he's doing. Let me see what match is." And we watched 2 hours worth of SmackDown, and Samoa Joe wasn't even on the show. Wasn't mentioned. Nothing. And again, I understand it's 2 hours. You got to rotate guys. This, that, the other thing. But it goes to show you that they're not grabbing anybody that's not a hardcore fan like myself, who they're gonna unfortunately get the money out of my pocket every month. But if you're not like me or Brian at this level, then they're not picking up the casual fan anymore. They're not gaining more fans. It's just your 2 million hardcore fan base. And you know what? If that's what it takes to survive and they're happy with it, then I guess so. But they always want more. They always want more money. They want more exposure, and they're not getting it.
Another thing I heard is, Well, they got the NFL or not the NFL network, the WWE network. WWE network has got fans and they're subscribing to it, and like, yeah, that's fine. But I look on Reddit and I saw like almost unanimous people like, I'm going on WWE network. I don't give a shit about the product. I want to watch it because of the old stuff.
Right, you're watching the old stuff.
You're watching it for the old stuff. Now, here's what's going to happen: is the old stuff going to get boring after a while if you watch it constantly? I mean, maybe not now, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not 2 years from now or 5 years from now, but 10 years from now, they're gonna make fucked up. Maybe not even then. Maybe earlier. Maybe they'll say, you know what, I'm done with this shit. You haven't put out anything good for me to watch that's new.
Yeah.
I'm only watching stuff from the 90s. And the older I get, the more I forget.
Yeah.
And I don't feel like watching it anymore. That's what's gonna happen, and people don't understand. They think I'm crazy. They make fun of me. They say, you're a fucking idiot, Brian. You think the WWE is gonna lose. It's too big to lose. And I'm like, the last person that said that, I mean, how many companies have gone under?
Yeah.
And it's not like, and
I mean, there is a sense, I can see both sides of the argument, don't get me wrong. I know what you're trying to say, but there is a sense of WWE being engraved into culture that maybe they're never going to go away, but because they are a public company and everything too. So never going to necessarily going away. Like because like, you know, there's friends of mine who know how passionate I am about wrestling, and like I said, I used to have the old VHS collections. They always joke me, what are you going to do if the WWE Network disappears? And I tell them I'm confident in saying that it's never going anywhere.
It's never going to go anywhere.
It's never going to go anywhere. But you know, even if for some reason it did, once online, always online, right? I mean, it's always going to be there. It's always going to be found. But WWE, even if they sold their name, their product, they sold something, you know, all these things are definitely possible. But it's hard to go away. I feel like at this point, you know, I don't think they'll ever be gone.
I think the point I'm trying to make is that I'm not a fan of WWE. I'm a fan of wrestling.
Sure.
I'm a fan of watching wrestling and watching it at its best.
Right.
And WWE, for the most part, has been the champion of providing us quality wrestling for a very long time.
Right.
But as of recently, I'm watching guys like Baron Corbin singing the Itsy Bitsy fucking Spider. What? I'm sorry. That's not wrestling. That's not even sports entertainment. That's bullshit. I'm watching guys like Bobby Lashley with his sisters, and it's just three guys dressed as women, and he's like smiling about it. I'm like, what is this shit that I'm watching? This isn't wrestling.
Like I said, hard to defend sometimes.
And that and that's been happening recently, right? And so I said the reason why I got back into wrestling wasn't because of WWE. It's because of R.O.H.
Yeah.
I watched R.O.H. and I fell in love with it. I still love R.O.H. And it's big now. It's growing. It's a lot bigger than it was before.
Especially teamed up with New Japan Pro Wrestling makes it huge.
They've done a lot of, teaming up. And now New Japan, I heard, is opening up a facility in California, a training facility. And it looks like they're trying to get our market.
Sure. Well, just in speaking about current events, you know, now they announced Ring of Honor and New Japan, Madison Square Garden next year, April 6th, the day before WrestleMania. That is huge. I feel like
I'm gonna shit my pants.
Yeah, as a wrestling nerd, that is like the greatest thing I've ever heard in my life. Going head to head with NXT the day before Mania, Vince McMahon's hometown. It's like that's a big deal, man.
That's a problem for them now, and I definitely know they're feeling it.
We're talking about Attitude Era and W.C.W. when 10 million people watching. Nobody else has sold out arenas in wrestling other than Vince McMahon and WWE in the last 10 years. And here comes, you know, New Japan, Ring of Honor, and, you know, Cody Rhodes and Young Bucks on their own to their degree with the All In show, you know, selling out 10,000 seat arenas.
In 29 minutes.
Yeah. Crazy.
Then they put out another bunch, and that sold out within like 10 minutes or some shit.
Crazy, man.
So here's the thing. With, I've heard a lot of people saying it's futile. Well, they just proved it's wrong because they were able to sell out. And it used to be only WWE can sell that out. Not anymore. So I don't think that argument's moot now. And they're only going to get better because they continue to put out quality matches.
Right.
Now, this goes to my next point. You got guys like Kenny Omega and you got guys like Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks that they're not signing with WWE.
Right.
In fact, you got guys from WWE that can't wait to get out.
Right.
Like Daniel Bryan.
Right.
When is his contract?
I mean, you know, again, this is just internet, so who knows what's exactly real.
They're saying that he like extended it for 3 months.
They're saying September 1st was the original, I believe, the original date. And I was at a Madison Square Garden event not too long ago, and they promoted him for December. So, you know, a card subject to change, obviously, but, you know, they were already promoting him past what his supposed contract deal was. So who knows what the truth is, but that's just what the good old internet says.
Let's say you're Kenny Omega. And Kenny Omega is he's the biggest star. He is the biggest star.
Outside WWE, you believe?
I think in wrestling. I don't think anybody's bigger than him.
Right.
Can you name somebody?
I mean, again, it's hard. Hardcore wrestling fans, I think Kenny Omega is definitely the top guy right now, without a doubt. I think AJ Styles is kind of up there too.
AJ Styles is huge.
He's huge. People love AJ Styles. He's one of the only guys that he's done right by, as far as the conversation.
But he has nobody to. He's nobody to feud against. So
Right.
He's gonna. His fire's gonna fizzle out. Not because
But Kenny
of him.
Omega, I guess, going back to your point, Kenny Omega is probably the top guy right now in wrestling, without a doubt.
Not in WWE.
Not in
and
WWE.
he is in that show. So if you have the top guy in wrestling right now and he's not in WWE, you got something over there.
Sure.
You see what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
And when I watch those apparently the Dave Meltzer
7 stars.
7-star matches now, and you watch them too, they tell stories.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Like when I watched that Okada Kenny Omega match that just happened,
It's amazing.
it was a masterpiece.
Yeah.
It was a masterpiece. I almost cried. I was like, this is the greatest fucking thing ever.
Yeah.
Even my wife doesn't watch wrestling. I forced her to watch that shit.
Well, that's what we're trying to say, right? The casual fan, you cannot sit there and watch a Ring of Honor New Japan, Ring of Honor / New Japan contest match, promotion, pay-per-view, whatever.
Long.
Yeah, you can't watch one of those matches and not tell me that was awesome. Even if you're not a wrestler, like you said, your wife or whoever, even if you're not a wrestling fan, you can respect that. You watch a match and it gets you hooked. That's just something WWE is definitely missing right now, is that heart for each match.
That's the problem is, like the fans from the Attitude Era, and even a little past it, we're growing up, we're getting married. You think our wives grew up watching that shit?
Right.
Probably not. But we're making them watch it, and now they're becoming fans of ROH and New Japan. They don't fucking care. You know what, my wife, she loved Charlotte Flair, and she loved Asuka. Loved Asuka in NXT. She's like, this is the fucking coolest wrestler I've ever seen.
Yeah.
She loved her gimmick.
She's arguably a top 5 best wrestler also. And she's
but
not even male or female,
Not anymore.
Well, yeah,
though.
now she's being
now she sucks.
bastardized on WWE.
Now she's getting beat up by that fucking, what's the name of that guy?
James Ellsworth.
James Shitworth. What the hell? Oh, because he did really good the last time.
Yeah.
Bring him back. Let's put him in the spot and not guys like Finn Balor or fuck Antonio Cesaro. He's not even on the product.
And it's crazy because you can't, again, every one of these athletes, they all deserve their spots here and there. But like you said, Carmella, I'm not trying to crap on her or anything, but
Go ahead, crap on her.
But why is Carmella in that spot and not an Asuka or Charlotte, whoever? Even Becky Lynch, Becky Lynch is a good wrestler. Carmella clearly
Sasha
is
Banks.
not. Yeah, Carmella, I don't think it's an insult to say she's clearly not as good as them when you're watching a match to get emotionally invested in a match. She's not there with them, and yet that's your champion. That's who you're pushing. That's who's the focal
She's
point
not
of
even good
everything.
on the mic.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, when you watch it from the outside looking in, nor to a casual fan who tunes in and catches a Carmelo promo. I don't think anyone is flipping back to that channel. Like, you know what I mean? That just, I don't understand that.
Not only that, the amount of commercials they put out.
Yeah, well.
It's just commercial central.
Yeah.
I don't even watch Raw. I watch the highlights on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
how
I watch Raw an hour late on purpose, so you can fast
yeah, so you
forward,
can fast forward most of it. You probably make it halfway through that.
I get about caught up, the last half hour. So,
So, you know what? For what we were talking about, I know that I might not be in the majority. I'm pretty sure I'm probably in the minority when it comes to the way I feel about wrestling today. But honestly, that's the reason why I left. And I want you to understand that the reason why I'm so angry with the product, I don't want to leave again. Because here's the thing, I left already. I've done that before. And when I came back, John and Frank did show me all the stuff I missed. And I was like, I wish I didn't miss that, dude. I wish I was there to see that shit. So I don't want to leave again.
yeah.
And I want to stay, but dude, it's fucking hard. It's
Yeah, it's
really
hard.
hard to watch this product.
You have
sometimes.
to, when you're a fan in that degree, you have to tune in and out just to watch your favorites do what they do.
And your favorites aren't even doing it. Sometimes
Right.
your favorites are getting thrown off the stage in porta potties and getting thrown in shit.
Yeah.
So I get really upset when
I
I'm like,
hear
why
ya.
is Kevin Owens being thrown into porta potty of shit?
Yeah.
What did he do to him? Oh, he didn't do anything. He just doesn't want to wrestle him. Well, how does that work?
Yeah.
So who's the bad guy? Well, he is. Wait, Kevin Owens is the bad guy?
Because he's being cowardly.
Oh.
You see?
Oh,
Right.
that makes sense now.
Yeah.
So now, if you like I said, I know I'm in the minority. So if you guys have comments, please comment below. Tell me what you think. Am I an idiot? Do I not know what I'm talking
Well, the
about?
answer is yes, but that's not what we do.
That's just your IQ is actually too, Brian. You're a moron. No, but help me out here because guys, I'm not trying to say WWE can kiss my ass. I don't want to leave. I still come back every week. I still want to watch. And my favorite wrestlers are on the product.
Yeah.
But they're not being shown to me.
Yeah.
You're showing me Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley.
You know, if you want to try to, like, again, I'm here to try to defend WWE as the mark that I am, but, you know, they have the ability to do all that. That's what bothers you, because they have all these great, awesome matches, dream matches, and even if there's a sense of wanting to save it for whatever their reasons are, maybe save it for the big show, you know, save it for SummerSlam, save it for WrestleMania, they don't want to throw all these quote-unquote dream matches at you so fast. I would get that. But like you said, in the interim, you're dealing with so much stupid baby bullshit storylines that are just dumb, you know, like none of it makes sense really when you
Pissing me
watch
off
it.
a little
Yeah,
bit.
you know, when they could be doing so much better.
So I did go on Reddit. I said that before, and I asked them questions. I asked them, give me some topics you guys want to hear.
Let's do it. Let's hear some topics, some questions. I'm ready.
So here are some of the topics that I want to talk about, and here are some of the topics that Reddit wants to talk about. So let's start with Reddit first, since they're you know, they're our fans. I mean, I don't even know if they count as our fans, but I asked them the question. So I got number 1. Big Smoke 1337 on Reddit says, the Roman Reigns above everything experiment is a beautiful disaster.
Well, we've been joking about this whole time. It's true. You know, Roman Reigns, as an objective wrestling fan, he's not the worst guy in the world. Okay, he's got a good look. He can do some cool moves. He can have a decent match. Not great, but he can have decent matches.
Yeah.
But it's that Rocky Maivia, it's that John Cena approach. It's that when you are shoving it in the fans' face that it is obvious that no matter what we feel, this is our champion, this is our guy, this is the big dog, you know, no matter how you feel, you're going to shove him down your throat. There's an automatic sense of rejection because I want to come, I want to cheer my favorites. I want to love AJ Styles, Daniel Bryan, Samoa Joe, maybe even Roman Reigns, but not when you make it clear to me that even if I don't care to see Roman Reigns, or even if the majority don't care to see Roman Reigns, he's your champion.
Yeah.
You know, and
I don't get it, dude.
so that's the, you know, as far as a beautiful disaster, that's, you know, there's
is
an
a
argument.
beautiful-
It is. There's an argument to be made. You know, that John Cena approach. You know, I've watched other promos from the legends in wrestling. You know, talk about in shoot interviews. You know, he creates the emotion. He creates a reaction, and they always want a reaction, whether it's good or bad. You know, even if Roman's getting booed, he's getting a reaction. I think they've finally figured out you're reaching a point you're not getting the right reaction.
They like to drive it down to the ground. They
Right.
drive things to the ground every
Like,
time.
you know, you cannot, no matter what, tell me that Roman Reigns and Jinder Mahal's recent feud was not designed to create a cheer for Roman
I
Reigns.
forgot that even happened.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you give me, you know, because Jinder Mahal is looked at as, you know, whatever. I don't want to insult him. Whatever he is supposed to be, Pakistan or Indian, whatever it is. I'm sorry, but
I don't even know.
But you know, Punjabi, I guess. You know what? You know, they try to present him as the un-American. You know, so now we're supposed to cheer Roman, and it doesn't even matter what the storyline is at this point. It doesn't matter if Roman's the bad guy or whatever.
You could have Hitler
You know,
go out there.
yeah, it doesn't matter.
And it'll be fucking, fuck Roman.
Right, exactly. And if you go back and you watch that match, you know, they're hitting the beach ball around. They're chanting for people that aren't even around. They're chanting Y2J, RVD. You know, it's just because they're tuning out as a sign of disrespect, which it is disrespect, don't get me wrong. But they're doing it because they're trying to show the WWE we don't care about Roman Reigns.
You know
You're not
what I
gonna,
thought?
Instead of Roman getting cheered, now you both got shit on. That's what ended up happening.
You know what hurt me the most? The one that really kind of broke my heart was when Roman Reigns faced Samoa Joe,
Yeah,
and they walked out.
yeah.
And then here comes the excuse. Oh, well, it was late.
Right.
So you're telling me that if you were a fan and you waited 3.5 hours for the main event,
That you left in the middle of the main
you
event
decided
because you were
fuck the main
tired.
event.
Yeah,
Oh,
no.
we got to beat traffic. Oh,
Yeah.
school's tomorrow. Like, you really think that
Not
fans
one
are gonna walk
time
out?
when Rock and Triple H fought each other on like 10 consecutive pay-per-views, it felt like.
Oh, it's
not
getting
one
late,
time.
kid.
Not one time did the fans say, you know, let me beat the traffic and get out of here before the
and
end.
then
of
they chanted like, "Look, we're beating the traffic. That's why
Yeah.
we're leaving."
Not
Sorry.
one time did that happen, you know. So that's, you know, BS excuses.
How
right
many
there.
times does Roman Reigns' appearance in a main event? How many times does he have to ruin the main event with his appearance before WWE decides, you know what, but no, you know what? Guess what they're doing? He just main evented with Bobby Trashley. Well, he didn't actually. That was interesting. He didn't main event.
Well, yeah, it was, again, all internet speculation, but
Yeah.
apparently that was like a Triple H move, I
Which
think.
is
They changed the
bullshit,
card.
yeah.
Who knows?
So he didn't main event, but he lost. Why does he? So they said the reason why Baron Corbin, Constable of Stephanie, isn't going to be in the triple threat match. Well, you lost yesterday. I'm sorry. Did Roman Reigns also not win, or did he
by
not lose?
that logic, right? Yes.
What the
correct.
hell is going on? Do you guys understand the kind of fucking plot holes you're digging yourselves
and
in?
I'm sure you're not saying that to argue for Baron Corbin's defense.
No.
You're just arguing that look at what you're telling me as a story, and how does that make any sense, right?
Because they just speak out of their asses,
Exactly.
and that's why people get. There's no consistency with their
great point.
storytelling. It's just like Roman Reigns is the guy. Sorry.
And again, you reached a point like, all right, so Lashley pinned Roman. What did we set up immediately? A rematch for next week. And now you're going to have them fight again. And it's like, sure, pull a swerve and make Lashley win, maybe. But it sure looks like Roman's just going to win again, right? I mean, it just looks set up. But the point, like you said, is either whether he wins or loses, why is he in the main event?
And
why is he there?
They keep undermining their other talent.
Mm-hmm.
He's in the match, and he just beats them.
Yeah.
And like, well, these guys we were cheering for.
Right.
And now you just shit on them.
Right.
By this loser who is known to be a loser. He keeps losing to Brock Lesnar like 150 times.
Yeah.
Yet he's now going to beat these two guys.
Right.
Are you? And then before, was it Extreme Rules, the go home show? What did he do? He destroyed almost half, like the whole locker room. Was coming out to keep him from fighting Bobby Lashley. But then he's like, "Nah, I'm going to destroy you all."
Right.
And then I'm going to still destroy Bobby Lashley. I don't know how much.
And then and then WWE almost like they feel like they're tricking you, because then you go watch it as the fans and you're saying, "Oh, Roman's going to win," and then Lashley wins. But at the same time, no one is emotionally invested to care that Lashley won at that point, because it's Roman. So right away, my attitude, even me personally as a hardcore wrestler fan, my attitude towards that match was, who cares? Who gives a shit? Because you're pre-programmed to assume Roman's going to win, but you set it up in a way that even if Roman doesn't win, it doesn't matter, because like you just pointed out, what happened the next night on Raw? Roman's in a position to be a main event champion again. So it doesn't matter. And then you throw it in our face and say Baron lost last night. But Roman did the same thing.
Like, wait a minute.
So
hold on
you're 100% right. Like, it goes to show you that that's the push. That's what we're talking about, kids at home. That's the kind of thing we're talking about with the shove down your throat. So beautiful disaster. I would agree.
I think the beautiful disaster for me was that Royal Rumble that Roman won.
That Roman won, sure. When he was
they
being booed out of the
and
building.
The Rock was like, he won. And like, fuck you,
Now,
Rock. I'm
being,
like, oh.
being the wrestling psycho that I am, I don't know if you can recall, the year before that,
They were cheering him.
they were cheering
Yeah.
Roman because he was the quote-unquote underdog of the match. You didn't expect him to win.
He was still part of the Shield, too.
Still part of the Shield. I think that's when Batista returned, and Batista ended up winning, and Batista got booed. Now, again, the fans are not booing Batista because they dislike him. They're booing because that direction was terrible. That particular Rumble, Daniel Bryan should have been in it.
He wasn't even in it.
He wasn't even in it, and he should have won it. They didn't have their...
CM Punk got thrown out by Kane.
Right. And then you had Roman put on a greater performance. And in that moment in time, if you would have had Roman win the Royal Rumble, I promise you that to this day, we would love him. We would love him. It was the fact that a year later, you made it obvious that Roman was now going to win the Rumble and Roman was now going to be pushed, and the fans rejected it,
Absolutely.
They were 1 year behind on the right move, and Roman would have been a whole different story right now,
People say that, they pulled the trigger on Roman too soon. I'm like, no, they didn't
pulled
pull
it too late, actually.
It was too late.
It was too late.
Because I would have loved it, dude.
Sure.
I would have been like, Roman,
If he would have won it as the member of the Shield in that moment of time, because I believe that's the Rumble he set the record for most eliminations also, was that Rumble, because he was in the Shield still.
No, it might have been the next one.
I think it was that one. He was in the
one?
Shield. He eliminated his Shield brothers and everything as part of that. But and that's why he was last with Batista. But besides which, like we said, he just, if he would have won that, boy, would the wrestling world be different. Roman would be.
He would be the guy.
An arguable pillar of WWE now if he did that.
Now it's just WWE. And another thing, it's funny. Somebody brought it up to me that when you look back on the Attitude Era and you look back on the Golden Era, and you're just like, wow. You can think of classic moments. Mm-hmm. You think of images,
matches, moments, images, sure.
Everything, all that shit.
I can't do that.
Do that for the last 15 years.
Exactly.
You don't fucking get
as
anything.
a hardcore wrestler. Now, granted, I was a kid. I had more rewatch time back then. Yeah. But I can't even tell you now in the last
the only one I
5
can think
years worth of awesome moments. Like that.
I can only think of one, and that's CM Punk. That pipe bomb.
Right, the pipe bomb, which is already more than 5 years. I think it's like 2012, so it's already 5 years. But your point being, there's nothing that's like,
So that was Big Smoke 1337 with that. Okay, now we're going to go over to, I like this one. This is a good topic. Mm-hmm. So EMS Trauma from Reddit. He says, keeping up kayfabe on personal social media. Do you support it or are you against it?
I would say I think we've reached a time in the world where we're just so far behind the curtain that it doesn't necessarily matter. I'm not saying to go out there and blatantly be like, oh yeah, it's all BS. Everything we're doing is BS. So I'm all for, if you want to keep up kayfabe on social media just to keep the interest. I mean, that's awesome. I find that to be cool. I think they should to a degree, but it's a weird time because we're just so exposed to the backstage stuff. Like I said, I read the internet too, as the smart mark I think I am. I'll read the internet. Not all of it's true, obviously, but you're still reading things. You still get an idea what goes on backstage. It's all. You know what it is. You know what it all is. It's not the aura and the presentation isn't the same as it was 20 years ago, where it was like, oh my God, this is real. These guys are beating each other up. It's a little more exposed now. So I think it's a little silly to make it a requirement as your job to keep up the kayfabe. But at the same time, it is their craft, it is their thing, it is their job, and
it's their brand.
It's their branding.
The brand is like, if you're Finn Balor, you are the brand of Finn Balor.
Right.
So everywhere you go, you represent your brand.
Right.
So I thought, and I was talking to my wife about it because I asked her, "What do you think?" She's like, "I don't think you should do that. I think that's fucked up because imagine you go home and you have to continue to be the salesperson that you are at your store."
Sure.
And I'm like, here's the thing, I'm not a public figure. So if I was a public figure like Bob or whatever, like let's say you're Stone Cold Steve Austin, and you leave, and you're notorious for hating your boss Vince McMahon, and you leave. If people see you hanging out with Vince McMahon and his kids and like having fun, that's gonna take away from the mythos of who you are, Stone Cold Steve Austin in the ring.
Sure.
So that's where I was like, oh, imagine them seeing, like, imagine if we saw Stone Cold, and
if you were at the Chinese buffet and Undertaker's there with his kid, it's kind of,
and he's like, oh, I like to read books. I'd be like, whoa, wait a minute, are you supposed to be dead? So I get that, and it's interesting. Now here's the other side of it though. And I'm going to link this to the Hulk Hogan thing, okay? Because this is huge right now. So Hulk Hogan just got re-enlisted into the Hall of Fame after the racist shit that he said. Now, do you remember exactly what he said?
I don't know if I'm going to repeat it, but I believe it was along the lines.
Like N-word or something.
I believe it was along the lines of he was speaking about his daughter, and he was saying his daughter was going to be dating an N-word person, and he he wasn't really down with it. He was basically saying along the lines of like, if she was going to date one, it should be a rich one or something like that. It was bad.
It was bad.
It was very bad.
Now this was all recorded. They say it was in privacy.
Yes.
During banging his best friend's wife.
Yeah.
Privacy, huh?
Yeah, privacy.
Now, a lot of people say, well, he said that in privacy. I was like, okay, here, let me explain. This is my analogy. If you eat your boogers in private, no one knows that you eat your boogers. They see you as just a normal person. But the minute that shit is out there, for you to say, no, I did that in private, you're not allowed to care. Yeah. Fuck you, dude. We're not shaking hands ever again, and you're out of the club.
It can never be taken back for sure.
So, for example, if you are in an organization where any race is allowed to watch your product and love it, and any race is working with you, and you say, I only like the whites, how would you expect people to go, all right, well, he said that in private, so even though I'm not white, I'll still watch it.
Right.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing about the social media thing, how this connects to it, right? So they say keeping up kayfabe on social media, do you support it or against it? I kind of am against it now because a lot of the black performers in wrestling, and I have them right here, New Day, they're not happy.
Right.
They're not happy with him being reinstated. They said, I'm not going to forget the crazy shit that you said.
Right.
Then there was this thing with Mark Henry, and he says, I think it's 50-50 in the backstage area. Mm-hmm. It's not. It's like 80-20. Mm-hmm. Okay? Then you have people saying that Titus O'Neil, they're saying, oh, Titus O'Neil, apparently, he disrespected Hulk Hogan, didn't shake his hand, and he just left. Mm-hmm. As soon as he's like, well, he came out and said, first of all, that has nothing to do with that. I left because I wasn't scheduled to perform that night.
Right.
I went because I was at a mandatory
I believe he
meeting.
said there was no one-on-one interaction whatsoever.
There was no one-on-one interaction, and he said, I was there because it was a mandatory meeting, and Terry Bollea was going to issue his statement with everybody. Mm-hmm. So he did that. Now, he said that in a tweet, I think today or yesterday, but he also stated, and this is perfect because I said this as soon as I heard what Hulk Hogan said. Now, Hulk Hogan said some shit about, pretty much saying, I just want to tell everybody I'm really sorry for what I said, and he's been helping younger people get to the, he's coaching them and saying like, don't do the same mistakes that I did, yada yada yada. And he went on a fucking years and years of just apologizing. Mm-hmm. The part that pisses me off is what he said to the wrestlers. He reminded them to always stay vigilant and watch what you say, because you never know if you're being recorded. Mm-hmm. Now, I said this to my wife. I said, as soon as I saw that, and this is before I saw the Titus O'Neil tweet, I said, that's a bullshit remark. She's like, why? Well, because you shouldn't say, hey, guys, watch when you say the N-word. That's essentially what he's saying. You should just not be fucking racist.
Right.
Just don't be racist. Just say to people, hey, guys, listen, I'm an asshole because I was racist, but I realized it's stupid to be racist.
And I'm trying the best I can to fix the problem or
I don't want to be racist. So go to fucking like black communities and interact with them and show that you are trying to not be racist. Don't say, hey guys, you got to watch what you say. You never know who's listening. How about just try not to be a fucking asshole? So when I heard that, that struck a nerve with me and I got pissed because I don't look at Hulk Hogan as only racist towards black people. You think that he just said the N-word and goes, no, that's where it ends. I don't hate everyone else.
I'm sure he's used other slanders or slangs.
Ask him how he feels about Mexicans. Ask him how he feels about Muslims. Ask him how he feels about Jews and Chinese. Everybody. Ask him how he feels about that. And I guarantee you, he's not going to say, oh, I love them. He's going to say, well, if they're rich, like what a piece of shit for saying that. So,
well, now he's not, because now he's going to watch everything he says.
Now he's going to watch what he says because he knows that he could be getting recorded. So that means, hey, I'm going to stay racist, but I'm not going to say it ever again. I'll just hold it in. Like, okay, you hold in your racism. Mm-hmm. Now, I get now why goes back to that thing about the social media. Should the wrestlers be allowed to speak their mind about that?
I believe everyone is entitled to speak your mind. There's a lot of different topics this can bleed into. We could bleed into the NFL and that whole stuff too. There's a lot of different things that this could bleed into. So we'll try to keep it to WWE in perspective. But what he did was wrong, and he knows it was wrong, right? What Hogan did was wrong, and he knows it was wrong. He's not going about the right way to make it better.
It's the way he said it.
It's the way he said things. The way he tried to redeem himself doesn't seem right yet. An argument, I guess, could be made, is he really racist in the sense that, there is some people that say he's been in the spotlight 40 years and nothing's ever come up. There's never been an issue. Like you said, it was recorded in private. That does not take away from the fact that how he may truly feel about certain races or whatever the case may be. But,
we had a conversation earlier about it too, you and I, and I said, listen, man, times are different now.
Yeah.
Social media is exposing a lot of pieces of shit for who they really were.
Right.
we can go down the list.
Hollywood actors.
Bill Cosby and Harvey Weinsteins and Kevin Spacey's. And now we know you guys were scumbags. Mm-hmm. But they were good for so long, right? Well, Hulk Hogan now. Mm-hmm. Turns out he's exposed for being a racist, and he paid for it. Mm-hmm. And honestly, just stay out of the spotlight, dude. Yeah. You want to come back in here and hog it up again?
Yeah. Well, I'll agree with you're right. I think the two different arguments being what they will, as far as reinstatement with the WWE Hall of Fame, I think he does deserve that part. You can't have a wrestling conversation without mentioning Hulk Hogan. It is what it is. He is wrestling.
He is wrestling.
He is wrestling. He is the one we should thank the most for everything we have today, I guess, right?
He's the biggest reason why I became a wrestling
Exactly.
fan.
He is the top guy in wrestling ever that everybody will always know.
Still love his movies.
Yeah, everybody
still love those movies.
Everybody will always know Hulk Hogan is. So you give him back the legacy that he did deserve with that.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Like, for example, he should be in the Hall of Fame.
Right, exactly.
Absolutely.
But as far as personal or looking at him as a personal hero or icon, that's the part that unfortunately has been tarnished to a degree, and he needs.
I loved him.
He needs to redeem himself the proper way,
and he hasn't done it yet.
And he apparently has not done it yet. Right?
He acts like he deserves it, and it's like, dude, you don't deserve it. And if you think that these guys should give it to you, like, here's the thing: these guys are black guys, and you talked about them.
Right.
You think that they're allowed to be pissed off?
Absolutely.
You shouldn't act like, oh, why are you so mad at me?
I think they have the right to be upset. They have the right to vent their feelings. I think from what I read on the internet, I think they all went about it the right way. I think they did it the professional way, if you will. They had their statements, they put it out there, and that's it.
Now, I think that they should, with the social media thing, I don't know. I think that they should be allowed to be saying how they feel. It's their social media.
Right.
But at the same time,
They do have a brand. I was going to say, they are a brand, and they do have an image to a degree that they have to uphold, and they do work for a corporate umbrella.
Now the kayfabe thing, listen, if you're gonna break kayfabe for a reason like this, go for it.
Right.
I completely give you support.
Right.
But the kayfabe thing, I kind of like. I like that. I don't want to see Stone Cold Steve Austin walking around.
I don't want to see Undertaker
holding hands with Vince
I don't want to
McMahon.
see Undertaker wearing golf shorts and a polo shirt,
Yeah.
and walking, buying fruit in the store.
Yeah,
Like
he's like eating like avocado toast. He's like, I love this stuff. Now, another thing I heard was that Hulk Hogan. Now, this is just pure like fucking somebody just being like, maybe. What if this happens? It's just speculation.
Mm-hmm.
But they thought, what about the possibility that the reason why Hulk Hogan is back, he's going to be crowning the first ever black WWE champion.
I mean, what?
Bobby Lashley.
Maybe Bobby Lashley, right? I guess, yeah. That's that could be speculation.
You know how bad that would be, because it's and I don't put it past WWE, because let's look at the Fabulous Moolah. Mm-hmm. They were about to use her to crown the very first.
Oh, the backlash was so strong on that. Yeah,
and
that they credited it right away.
That was them. That was the women. And the men are seeing like, yo, the women did that shit. We're doing that shit too. Because so I don't put it past WWE for doing. And I don't want to listen. WWE had to have known. Vince McMahon, he's been around forever. You think he didn't know that Fabulous Moolah was doing that crazy shit?
Right.
So when they named her and they said, hey, listen, we're going to do that. You think that he didn't remember that? Mm-hmm. And also, he went as far as making the trophy with her on it.
Yeah.
And then finally, the last second, he scrapped it. They don't have a trophy. Right. It was fucking nothing.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, he clearly was going with it.
Right.
He thought that was a good idea.
Yeah.
So I don't. And here's the thing: Hulk Hogan, he's notorious for having this type of relationship with Vince McMahon. Mm-hmm. As soon as him and Vince get together, man, he starts sucking that. And he's like, whatever you want, Hulk. In fact, how many times have we seen Hulk Hogan not put somebody over?
Yeah.
Even with Shawn Michaels, he said, no, I'm not putting Shawn Michaels over. I'm not putting Stone Cold Steve Austin over. Mm-hmm. He doesn't do it. Mm-hmm. So you want him to put a black person over?
Well, he put The Rock champion? Over.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry about that. He didn't. The only reason why I put The Rock over is because he didn't want to put Stone Cold Steve Austin over.
Yeah,
so he's notorious for that kind of shit. And I don't know, man. I'm a little touchy with that Hulk Hogan thing because I'm Hispanic and I fucking... I don't think he's...
You're right, though. Listen, I can't be more of a big Hulk Hogan fan wrestling-wise. I'm one of the biggest, but he definitely went about everything the wrong way, unfortunately. He's not doing right by his decision-making or his redemption or anything like that.
I want to thank EMS Trauma for that topic. That was a good topic. We went on a nice little tangent there. Good job. Yeah. So the next one, so this is a guy, his name is Insomniac from Reddit. He has two. Okay. I'm going to read the first one, and then I think it'll go into the second one.
Okay.
So the very first thing he said was, and I like this topic. It's a great topic. It's going to be interesting to see how the Fox deal changes things. If the WWE does well, then other networks might take a second look at the wrestling business as an affordable product to produce as entertainment. Mm-hmm. Phenomenal.
I think that, that's, he's definitely right about that. But at the same time, you got to admit Raw's been a juggernaut for 20 years on Monday Night Raw. They're a staple of Monday night that people know where to find it. They know where it is. They know what's going on. And SmackDown comes along with that. But this Fox deal, it's going to open up a lot more eyes, I believe, because it's broadcast television, right? It's regular TV, correct?
You want me to go over it?
Yeah.
It says WWE SmackDown Live will reportedly remain a live show when it comes to the USA Network, from the USA Network to Fox.
To Fox, yeah.
Despite shifting from Tuesdays to Fridays, beginning October 2019.
Yeah. So now you're back to like how SmackDown used to be when it used to be on like UPN 9 back in the day. You're that's a lot more eyes on the product. I feel like when you're on regular TV like that. So it can't be anything but great. I think there was something in the deal that said they get like advertisement on the NFL now, which is a huge deal too. Part of it. It's going to be interesting, but they're definitely going to bulk SmackDown up. They're going to attempt to make SmackDown the quote unquote A show for sure. Even though the argument, like we said earlier, is there that it already is the A show, but they'll put more emphasis on it for the Fox deal for sure.
It says here that they're going to go. So they're SmackDown's on Tuesdays, but it's going to jump to Fridays.
Right.
And they said that, and the deal is $1 billion deal.
Wow.
And it's going to go into effect in 2019 in October. It says here that SmackDown has been on USA Network since 2010.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And it says, while NBCU is expected to retain the rights of Raw, the deal between WWE and Fox for SmackDown will reportedly become official next week. Well, this was back then. So it's already official now.
Yeah.
And now I like this line. Despite Raw often being heralded as WWE's flagship show, It can be argued that SmackDown offers a superior product with a roster boasting the likes of Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, Shinsuke Nakamura, The Miz, Charlotte Flair, Asuka, New Day, The Usos, Randy Orton.
I mean, are you kidding me right there? Did you hear that roster?
Jesus, man, that's another. It's like another. Now, here's why I think you said Raw was always around, but Raw is Raw. You know, now SmackDown. If SmackDown has a ton of success, now you got two juggernauts.
Right.
If any other network sees, well, we didn't want to compete with Raw because we always thought Raw was always going to win, but SmackDown is beating Raw, or maybe SmackDown is just as good as Raw. So now there's two out there. Maybe we should buy something. Maybe NXT.
Yeah.
Maybe they get NXT or something.
Right.
Maybe NXT becomes maybe 205 Live.
Yeah. Well, that's of course. The other networks are going to definitely take interest. You know, like you said, $1 billion deal. That's real money out there. You know, that's money to be made. But wrestling has a history of being kind of looked at as a beneath product. It seems. But yeah, you can't argue. Can't argue the money.
I hope that ROH somehow makes some noise there. Because
Well, that's another thing that just because it's a deal with WWE does not take away from the fact that it opens up doors for all sorts of companies. Yeah, Ring of Honor gaining a major TV deal because of this would be amazing.
Now, if Ring of Honor gets a deal, I mean, they've been around since 2004. It says here, ROH was privately owned by founder Rob Feinstein until 2004. So actually, it was founded in 2002, February 23rd, 2002, 16 years ago in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. That's where I watched ROH.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And now he sold it. So he sold it to Kerry Silkin from 2004 to 2011 before being sold to Sinclair.
Sinclair, okay.
So, I mean, the company is continuing to grow, and it isn't showing any signs of slowing down.
Right.
And now, it's collaborating with New Japan Pro Wrestling. And, I mean, the last time I went, so the time before that, it was when they did a collaboration with New Japan. And I was floored. It was one of the greatest events I've ever seen in my life. I went to another one, just an ROH one, and it was at Webster Hall. I fucking hated it because I couldn't see any of the product. There was just not enough seats. Now that showed me this is so big you can't even seat it properly. It's getting too big.
Yeah.
So I stopped going until they work out the kinks. I'm not gonna fucking be the guinea pig anymore. But now you're telling me, they got Madison Square Garden, so it's got a following.
Huge news. Nobody in the Northeast has sold out big arenas before in the last 10 years, like other than Vince McMahon, the WWE, and now you got, tickets haven't gone on sale. I'm speaking before it even happens, but we know it's going to do well. There's no question about it. It's WrestleMania weekend. They're going head to head with WWE and their product in their own hometown. It's a big deal, man. Like that's huge.
So this goes into the next part of Insomniac's Reddit comment. He says competition with the WWE is no longer possible and is a futile goal for any wrestling company. It's also completely unnecessary to do that and be successful.
He's 100% right, I feel like. But that's what we're talking about is that Ring of Honor does not have to go head-to-head. It does not have to compete on a channel against the Monday Night Raw or against the SmackDown. It just has to open the doors, get eyes seen, and people will be able to tell how it is a different product than WWE. You can argue which is superior depending on your tastes, whether you like the entertainment side or you like the pure wrestling side. But Ring of Honor is a different product. It is a different approach to it. It's more of the ground-based, in-your-face wrestling. Same thing with New Japan. You talk about keeping kayfabe. Nobody keeps kayfabe like New Japan Pro Wrestling does. They make it like it's a, whether it's a point system with the G1 Classic that they do or whether it's rankings, they make it more about the sport. They make it more like you're earning a shot at the title as opposed to WWE. I can get pinned on Monday night and then get pinned on Sunday night, but then the following Monday I'm the one contender to the WWE Championship. There's no sense in that whatsoever. So it's definitely just a different product, a different approach to it, and I believe as far as competing with WWE, that's what you're competing with. You're showcasing a different aspect of it. And it will always thrive. It'll always be there. It'll always be successful. And there is no reason to go against Raw head up or SmackDown head up.
That's a great point. And I was just thinking, let's say, I'm just speaking fantasy land right now. I just want to picture this.
Yeah.
Right. Imagine Ring of Honor does get picked up in another network.
Right.
And they say, you know what? We're not going to compete with WWE. That would be stupid. So we're going to have our shows on Thursdays.
Right, yeah. Thursday night, Ring of Honor.
Ring of Honor, come watch it. And you think I'm not watching that, dude?
Of course.
And the problem with WWE now is if we start watching that, we're going to start. Now, this is why I think this guy's fucking wrong. Because he says it's stupid to even, it's futile. There's no reason. That's impossible.
Right.
I think he's wrong. You said he's right. But now picture this. All these new fans that are going to be watching on Thursday nights for ROH are going to see quality wrestling just like they watch in NXT.
Right.
It's already starting to piss us off because we're seeing NXT and we're watching Raw and SmackDown. We're like, why the fuck am I watching this? I just watch wrestling on Wednesday, but it's only an hour.
Right.
Now you got an hour at NXT, maybe another 2 hours
With Ring
at
of Honor,
ROH.
yeah.
That's 3 hours against this now. You think that we're not going to make comparisons? We will, and we're going to see and now we're going to get to see the Kenny Omegas and the Young Bucks and Cody Rhodes and all of those guys that are amazing in ROH. Once we see those guys and it becomes a household name, I think WWE is going to be fucked.
Yeah.
Because they're going to go, well, now we got to start creating better content.
Yeah.
So now WWE is going to, and I hope this happens because I don't want to leave WWE. I want to see those wrestlers shine the way they're supposed to shine.
Yeah.
And if you have ROH on Thursday nights and NXT on Wednesday nights shining, well, now we got to get our guys to shine, and they're going to shine.
Right. It creates the competition again. It creates the fire, the energy, the passion. They all have to try new things. Can't just keep rolling on the big wheel and doing the same bullshit over and over again. Yeah.
And that's why I think WWE will crush them.
But it's just the point of the actual competing. Like I'm sorry, what was his name? Insomniac.
That's
like
Insomniac.
Like he said, as far as it being futile, he's right in the sense of WWE is just too big right now.
It's a
no
monster.
matter what.
Powerhouse.
It's a powerhouse. It's engraved in society. People know when they think wrestling, they're talking about WWE. They're not just the more hardcore fans are talking about Ring of Honor and all that stuff. But yeah, like you said, once the eyes are it's inevitable. You cannot watch that and not become a fan of it. That's the difference.
I know. ROH is
Ring of
amazing.
Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling too, because they're right in the same category. You cannot watch that through and not get hooked on the athleticism and the passion that those wrestlers are showing. It's kind of like watching minor league ball, watching college football, watching that. They have a bit of a more hunger because they're trying to prove something. They're trying to get somewhere. They're trying to expose their brand, and you can see that with the fire with like Ring of Honor.
I think what's going to happen, right, is we've already seen this before, and a lot of people don't remember this, but when you lost all of those top guys to W.C.W, that left all of your mid-carders had no choice but to perform well, and that's how you got the Stone Cold Steve Austins and the Rocks and Shawn Michaels and Bret the Hitman Hart. All those guys became very big. We would never have had them had that not happened.
Right.
So if ROH shows up, right, and they start getting some momentum, I don't know, maybe some guys will jump. That'll be awesome.
Well, that's already happened, really. I mean, Seth Rollins comes
Cody
from Ring
Rhodes.
of Honor. Seth Rollins, which way are you talking? Coming from Ring of Honor or coming from WWE? You mean jumping from WWE back to Ring of Honor?
Jumping from WWE to Ring of Honor.
When they see the product progressing,
When they see that, they might
That's
go-
what changes and makes it. I mean, TNA, when it first started, you had a guy like D'Lo Brown. D'Lo Brown was not a main event WWE guy, but he was just high enough that he came to TNA, and it was awesome for a moment in time. Everybody was like, "Oh my God, D'Lo Brown!"
Bubba Ray?
Yeah, Bubba Ray, Christian. All these guys came to TNA, and that's the same theory. Now you fast forward to Ring of Honor. We don't necessarily. Again, we don't want to see Roman Reigns show up in Ring of Honor or anything like that. But
That's not going to happen.
But a guy like a Daniel Bryan or even AJ Styles, when their WWE careers begin to wind down.
So this is going into this is my topic, and this is because we built a nice little foundation for this. These are wrestlers that I think are being buried, or are buried. These are the guys I think if they go over there.
You want to take them one at a time?
And in no specific order.
Okay.
Ty Dillinger.
He's definitely.
Come on, fans love him.
For some reason, they did not like the 10 count chant. Again, maybe that's because it's not a Vince McMahon creation. Who knows? But that guy,
it was organic.
Yeah, that guy. It's like the Fandango. It's like the Yes chant. I don't know.
Fandango's another guy.
Yeah, I don't know why they just decided like, nah, we're not going to push you with this.
But now imagine Ty Dillinger says, "Fuck you guys, I'm going to ROH." Right. You think they're not going to know who he is?
Right. Do a 10 count. I don't care what you call him. If he keeps doing the 10 count, can't copyright a 10 count.
You can't do that.
So
the fans could do the 10 count, and he'll just do a thumbs up to it. Like,
exactly.
He just keeps going up, and then he stops them at that because he's like, "I'm not saying 10. I'm telling them to stop, but I'm using my thumbs to tell them to keep going."
Of course.
Ty Dillinger, he jumps over there. That's it, man. That'll be beautiful because Cody Rhodes showed you can do it.
You can do it, yeah.
And so that's another guy.
All right.
Let's see, Antonio Cesaro.
Well, Cesaro,
where is he, dude?
I don't know what goes on with him and Sheamus at the current. I don't know if they're injured or just taking a break. Who knows? But I feel like we have to discuss exactly what buried means because Cesaro is on TV at least right now. He's not.
He's not.
Right now. He's not. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know what's going on in the current. But the last 2 years, tag team division, tag titles. You can say what you want about how his athleticism and his approach to wrestling should make him a main eventer, and I agree. they keep him straddled. They keep their thumb on him for some reason. You know, I don't know what that is. But the argument could be made that at least he's got TV time. At least some of these guys that I'm sure you're going to mention, they have their spot on a TV. It's just not the spot that they necessarily deserve. They deserve probably better spots.
Yeah, they bury them.
They're burying them. So, you know, Cesaro is definitely one of those clear cases. That guy is amazing. I mean, like you said, you went to Ring of Honor early. You saw him as Claudio. I seen him too, and I wasn't as attracted to him as a fan at the time. I mean, he was funny. I remember he used to go, "Hey," and all, like all that.
He would wave at you and like,
that was all fun stuff. I remember it too. But when he came to WWE and he started showcasing it on a next level, like some of his moves and how he gets a crowd behind him, he's awesome. He's such a great athlete. I don't know why.
Yeah.
They don't give him the proper spot. He just they feel like, yeah, you can get a little TV time, but you're always going to be right here, you know?
Yeah. Okay.
So what else you got?
God, this one hurts my feelings, man. I love this guy when he first started. I was hooked, and I thought this is the next big thing right here. He's going to be the biggest guy in wrestling. That's how I felt. Now he's a fucking, I don't know what they're doing with him. Bray Wyatt. God damn it, man.
Yeah, Bray Wyatt came in with such a Undertaker-esque approach of Mystic that could have ran forever, and he
made my skin crawl.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know
who is this guy?
Yeah, I thought that's what they were doing him. I thought he was going to be the next, whatever you want to call it, enigma or the next mystical thing.
The next Phenom.
Yeah, the next Phenom, and they just took a stupid approach towards
They took a dump on his face.
Yeah,
and
and
said,
just
"Fuck him."
I don't know what goes on. And it's funny because again, I am a WWE mark. I do get entertained by some of the dumb stuff. You know, Matt Hardy, Bray Wyatt. I find it to be fun. It's fun. It's entertaining to a
What
degree.
about when he did that thing with Randy Orton?
Yeah.
He had that match in that fucking house.
Yeah.
Or that stupid thing at WrestleMania. Way to bury him.
That's what's funny is that, like, again, just trying to be objective, I could get through the house thing because at least that was something unique. It was like, all right, whatever. Yeah, it wasn't great.
It was a gimmick thing.
It was a gimmick thing. But then, like you said, but then they brought it to Mania, and then they did the stupid things with the bugs in the ring, and, you know, it ended up just being a flat match. Nobody cared in the end. And it was just like, you know, I don't know. Like, you know, again, you call it burying. He gets his TV time in. It's just that they bring it to a certain level where you expect something from him.
But now imagine,
and then they just chop his legs out from under him.
Yeah, that's my point. Is
You know?
imagine you have a guy like Stone Cold Steve Austin. He got his TV time. But imagine if you had him up there like fucking throwing maggots on people. They'd be like, TV time or not, that sucks, dude.
Yeah.
I don't want to see that shit.
You're right.
So I know what we wanted to see. When he would go out and do his promos and in darkness and play mind games and like he had his fucking cult following, like that shit, and he had his wheelchair, not a wheelchair, a fucking rocking chair.
Yeah.
Like he was awesome.
It's awesome, yeah, without a doubt.
That's TV time
Then
compared to this one.
Then they stripped the Wyatt family from him
Early.
which we felt like, why? Like, you know. Then they gave it back to, I don't know if you even remember that, but they took it away from him and then actually gave it back to him. He went solo for a minute, and then he brought back the Wyatt family, and then again they separated, and now, you know, he went from just like a bunch of classic guys like Jinder Mahal and even Jack Swagger, all these guys. He went from WWE champion, which almost felt like out of nowhere, to now you're wrestling. Now you got bumped off the card last month, and no one even spoke about that. You know, like I noticed it as a wrestling fan. The B Team versus Matt Hardy and Bray Wyatt, that happened at Extreme Rules. The month before that was booked for the pay-per-view, and it just silently didn't happen.
Yeah.
You know, like, because I guess maybe time constraints.
I think
whatever.
he got into a car accident. Is that
No,
what he
not
got?
before the pay-per-view, though. You know, but whatever. The bottom line is you're wrestling opening card matches with the tag belts that no one cares about at the moment, you know, and it's
And
like,
they're ugly as hell anyway.
yeah,
so
and it's like, why did that happen with a guy like Bray Wyatt? Like again, just to make a comparison, not saying he's as legendary as Undertaker or anything like that, but Undertaker didn't revert back to having the opening match on the pre-show.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That
And
never
during his
happened.
run, that never happened, you
never
know?
happened.
And Bray Wyatt was on a course that almost was like that, you know. Again, I'm not trying to say he's as phenomenal as Undertaker, but they were trying to make a gimmick that
It's
was
at
going to
the
be up
beginning,
there.
though.
It was at the beginning stages, and instead you just chopped his legs out. You know?
And now he's nowhere.
now
That's
he's
what I
nowhere.
call burying. You buried him
Right.
because you
And
had something.
and no one cares.
Yeah.
Right.
And just real quick before I move on to the next guy, one of the greatest moments I've ever seen in the new era of wrestling was with the Wyatt family versus the Shield.
Yeah.
There was that one moment where they're standing in the middle of the ring just staring at each other and they were like ready to square off.
The crowd was chanting, "This is awesome!" Already.
I fucking was like jumping in my chair like, I can't. This is too much awesome and for one room.
Yeah.
And that, you see how awesome that could have been?
Right, and there you go. There's Roman, and there's Braun, and there's even, you know, Eric Rowan isn't, you know, like all these guys getting cheered.
Amazing,
Yeah.
yeah.
And what did you do to botch that
the
up?
shit.
That was 6 main eventers, not 2 that we ended up with.
Yeah.
You know, with and I'm talking about Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. 'Cause
Yeah.
Dean Ambrose is injured. I'm sure he's a main eventer too, but he's injured right now.
Yeah.
So instead of having 6 main eventers, you have 2 now from that. You know, like
and barely any.
and
Like,
barely.
really, do you though? Like
Right.
you don't have them. Like
Right.
so, it sucks because one of your main eventers is getting booed off the fucking face of the
Right,
earth.
correct.
Okay, so here's another guy that the fans love him, but they're just not doing anything with him. And I know that they're, you see he's getting his time, but like he keeps having matches, keeps fucking losing. He's just a loser. He doesn't, and he's not really menacing. Nobody's afraid of him. We just like seeing him. My wife loves him. When she sees this guy, she's like, this guy's amazing. Elias.
Oh yeah, Elias. Yeah.
My God.
He's in that warm up spot. I feel like I don't. Again, I'll come to the defense of saying burying him. I don't necessarily think so. I think he's still on the rise. He's gonna have a tough time breaking the quote unquote
he
glass
got
ceiling.
squashed by Roman Reigns.
He did get squashed out.
He got squashed by Seth Rollins.
Yeah, he lost
pretty
to
much
Lashley.
everyone.
He
Has
loses.
he ever won a match? I don't think he's ever won a match, dude.
Yeah, no, he does lose. He's in a spot right now where he's losing to all the supposed main eventers at the time. But he is a guy that's just like, yeah, he's awesome, Elias, right? Since the minute he's hit the scene, he's resonating with the crowd. And again, I guess that's what you mean by buried. There's a guy who, okay, I won't argue that people are necessarily tuning in to watch him, but you're entertained by him. That's another guy that if I show my casual friends who just happen to be at my house while I'm watching Raw, they watch and at first they're like, "Oh, what is this guy with the guitar?" And then he says something funny and he strums his guitar,
dude.
and he's pretty skilled with his guitar.
I love the way he messes with the crowd. He's like,
Right.
this place sucks.
Right.
I'm
And then
like,
you have no choice but to be entertained and laugh at it no
Yeah.
matter what at the end. And then you see
got
it.
the look, too.
Yeah, and then you see it more often and then you begin to get it. And that's a character that resonates, I feel like.
Yeah.
And if I started watching Raw Monday and out of nowhere Elias started pinning everybody and then you put him into a main event picture, like
I would be happy.
People would be happy because that's a guy who we organically are attracted to, that we're watching, that we're entertained by, and it's not necessarily being shoved down our throats by the WWE, you know?
You know what I would have done when Elias had that match against Roman Reigns? Or not Roman Reigns, against Braun Strowman. If he had that match against Braun Strowman, I would have had him like pin him in like a small package position, but like where Braun Strowman, like because he's so big, he just can't kick out of it. Like maybe have him in the corner and he's cheating, and then he gets the pin like barely. Then Braun Strowman could destroy him after me, like kill him, whatever, make him bleed, make an example, destroy him outside the ring, make him look like a bitch. But he still won the match.
Yeah.
And that's fine because Braun Strowman, everybody knows, he got lucky. He beat Braun Strowman, but at least he's got a victory over Braun Strowman.
Right.
And now, as a heel, he can sing a song about how he beat Braun Strowman.
Right.
Can you imagine how amazing that would have been?
Right, you're right.
It writes itself.
Well, that still could happen because he's still on the rise, Elias. He hasn't been around that long, you got to remember. So he's on the rise.
Yep.
So
that's Elias. I think he would do great things.
yeah, he could be
in
great.
ROH.
He looked like a guy who had the Intercontinental title written all over him when I first saw him. He still does. I picture him sitting there with the spotlight with the belt around his waist while he's doing his song.
And he won it in like some stupid way. And he's like,
Right.
I bet you guys wish that I'd give him a title shot. Well, I am giving a title shot, but not to Seth Rollins.
Not in this place, you know.
It's going to be to, what's the name of that guy? The ugly face guy with Carmella?
James Ellsworth.
James Ellsworth. James Ellsworth can have a match with me. So there's that.
Okay, Elias. Who else you got on your list there?
Oh man, this one's pretty recent. I'm really upset about this one. Actually, I'm gonna leave that one for last, but I'm gonna go with Bobby Roode.
Bobby Roode definitely came in with a big splash,
but fucking burial, man.
Yeah, I don't know what he wasn't even on the card. 12-match card, can't get on the card. That's when you know. Again, if you're not being used properly, if there's 12 matches on a card and you're not on the card, something's wrong. Something needs to be adjusted. You know, Bobby Roode kind of said that himself on Raw last week. I believe he made mention of that, and then lost to Dolph Ziggler, so it doesn't matter. But
meanwhile, Dolph Ziggler said it's not going to be for the title.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's going to beat you, and now I should get a shot for the title.
You know, an argument can be made though. Where does it end though? Because you can't necessarily have everybody be a main eventer, right? Not everybody could be the WWE champion.
But we're talking about the Intercontinental title. We're not talking about main event.
Right, we're talking about just at least being in a spot.
Yeah.
Robbie
You're not
Roode,
putting him in anything. Bobby Roode is just some asshole that goes out in a robe and smiles and
says
stands
glorious.
in a weird position and moves his hands, and that's all he is. And he's smiling. He's like, "Oh, I'm Bobby Roode, and I have a big dick." Do you though? You're getting your ass whooped. So, but in NXT,
champion.
that's not even close to the Bobby Roode that we got. That Bobby Roode was
the champion.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Amazing. Now he's a little bitch.
You're right. Yeah.
So that's a burial. This next one, man, I I don't even think there's any way to redeem him at this point. People like him still, though. So, I mean, at that last match he had, I was really impressed. Finn Balor. Mm-hmm. What the hell? My wife loves that guy.
Yeah.
She's like, why is he such a pussy all of a sudden? I'm like, WWE, I don't know.
That's Vince McMahon loving the demon character more and not caring about Finn Balor. You know,
but we haven't even seen the demon character in forever. Yeah. Meanwhile, there goes the Itsy Bitsy Spider fucking thing.
Yeah.
They're singing the Itsy Bitsy Spider to this guy.
Yeah,
what
I don't know.
Piece of shit.
He definitely is a high caliber wrestler. He's one of the top, arguably one of the top guys in the business, I guess, right now. In the world, yeah.
From Japan.
Yeah, he's definitely really good, and he's not getting the push either. He got pushed out the door, if you remember, before he got hurt.
Yeah.
You know, right out the gate, he was like, they were going to make him the star of everything.
But the thing is, he got hurt.
He hurt his shoulder, so that kind of hurt his chances, and I don't believe he's been given a fair chance to succeed since then. You're correct. You know,
because Vince McMahon, he gave him the chance, and he's like,
now he just really loves his jacket every week.
Yeah, he's like, look at my jacket and my abs.
Look at my cool jacket.
We got a situation down here. And then he's fucking smiling like an asshole.
Yeah.
God, I hate that shit. Mm-hmm. So Finn Balor. So let me go over the list again. Ty Dillinger, Bray Wyatt, Cesaro, Elias, Finn Balor, Bobby Roode, Kevin Owens. Listen, we like him, and he's getting his time. But if his time is just getting literally shit on from a porta potty, I'm sorry, I don't want to see that anymore.
Yeah.
It's embarrassment to see that. I don't even know what Sami Zayn is.
He's another. Sami Zayn's injured right now.
Oh.
He's another guy, Kevin Owens, who was given the ball last year, or maybe it's 2 years ago now, whatever. He was given the world title. He had his little run with Jericho, and that stuff was awesome. I think everybody enjoyed it.
Yep.
But then it's like they don't know what to do with you after they cycle you out of the title picture. You know, I understand they got to cycle guys out. Don't get me wrong. Kevin Owens has to take the step back from being the champion. Yeah. But then instead of taking just 1 or 2 steps back, they throw him down a flight of staircase. Yeah. You know, like, and now he's at the bottom of the barrel. You know, he's another one missing. I mean, he wrestled the last pay-per-view, but he's missing pay-per-views. He's off the card. He's in meaningless matches. No one cares. You know, this thing with Braun Strowman, like you said, from a storyline perspective, if I didn't watch wrestling every week and I explained the story to somebody, Braun Strowman's the bad guy there. You
Absolutely.
know, if you explain the story of what's going on and how he's
that's
bullying.
My wife. Yeah. My wife is the reason why I got that, because she's like, I'm sorry, like, why is Braun Strowman being I thought he was a good guy. I'm like, he's a good guy. Why is he shitting all over this poor guy who's running away?
Right.
And then she said, wasn't he hiding in like Kurt Angle's office because he was afraid of Braun Strowman? That sounds like a bully.
Right.
I thought WWE's against bullying, and I'm like, well, they are. It's only funny if Braun Strowman does it, I guess.
Right,
He's already got. He doesn't even need to do anything with Kevin Owens.
Right.
He literally has the money in the bank in his hand.
Yeah.
So Kevin Owens means nothing to him, but he destroys his car.
Yeah.
He destroyed his car.
Yeah.
Forgot about that. Mm-hmm. He threw him out of that fucking porta potty, and then he threw him off the cage and laughed at him. He's like, he's dead. I killed him. Hey, I'm doing an interview. Remember last night when I killed Bray Wyatt?
Well, that's
not Bray Wyatt, Kevin Owens.
Yeah,
I killed him.
That's WWE trying to make you think that you remember all the heinous things Kevin Owens done in his career thus far. So he's just getting his comeuppance now. He's just getting his receipt by having Braun Strowman beat him up. Yeah, right. Well, how many times do you have to get it? And also, like you said,
just kill him. Just shoot him in the head.
Yeah, people don't want to see this lame storyline. Like, let Kevin Owens get his that he deserves because he's been such a bad guy by losing a title match with AJ Styles. You know, he doesn't have to win the match, but put him in that main event spot because he belongs to be there. You know, he should be there losing the match.
Okay, so Daniel Bryan is the next one. Mm-hmm. I think let's say he got buried by literally saying he can't wrestle anymore.
Right.
That's a burial in my opinion, but because he came back. Now he's back, and he's finally doing something with The Miz, which thank God.
Thank God, we've been waiting for that.
And the only reason why he's doing something with The Miz is because Kane got legitimately injured.
Right. Otherwise, he was going to be saddled with the tag titles, it seemed.
Yeah. So oh shit, he's injured. We got to lose the titles.
Or worse, Kane was going to turn on him, and we were going to have to be subject to that again, which is always definitely a possibility.
My God, dude. So
why is Daniel Bryan, again, like you said, a fan favorite? People love him. His in-ring is great. Why are we putting him against the Bludgeon Brothers? Why is he fighting Kane potentially? Why is he feuding with these guys? Like, get him in there. Like, The Miz, say what you will about his in-ring caliber. He's not on maybe the level of Daniel Bryan, but if we watch Daniel Bryan The Miz, we were going to like that. We would be into that. If we watch Daniel Bryan have a good wrestling match with almost anyone else on SmackDown, it'd been good. But why is he wrestling these giants, Luke Harper, Eric Rowan, potentially Kane? that's not the match that people want to see Daniel Bryan in, I feel like. Yeah. Nobody sat here and said the dream match is Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan. I want to see that so
it's gonna
bad.
be so good.
That's so what
Him and Cass,
Oh yeah, him and Big Cass. Oh, I wrote that on a paper when I was in grade school. I was been dreaming of this match.
One of these days.
I'm gonna see Big Cass versus Daniel Bryan. I can't wait.
That's gonna be a slobber knocker.
And it's like typical wrestling to not understand that. I'm not saying never have the match. Give it to me on SmackDown where it belongs. Yeah. You don't make it a storyline and have to watch it on 2 pay-per-views. Like that's retarded. You want to see Daniel Bryan in there with AJ Styles. You want to see Daniel Bryan in there with.
And what happened when they faced
any other athletic guy, even New Day members? They're all good. Like show me something different. Show me a good match. Show me all this stuff. That's that's not the different we want to see. First of all, we already saw Daniel Bryan and the Wyatts. Let's not forget we already saw them do that 3-5 years ago, whatever it was. But no one is clamoring to see Daniel Bryan versus Luke Harper and Eric Rowan. That's not a knock on them either. That's not a knock on anybody.
They're good
it's
wrestlers,
just not. That's not the match that you want.
Here's what should have happened, right? Now, let's pretend that WWE did a really good job building Bobby Roode or Finn Balor.
Right.
So let's say Daniel Bryan shows up, and the very first thing he says is, I want my title back. That's what he should have said. I never lost the title. I want it back, right? And then Bobby Roode shows up. Let's pretend they built him. He's an up-and-coming star, and he's like, whoa, buddy. You don't just get to show up and get a title shot without going through me. Bam. You just set up a fucking
And now
awesome
we have Bobby Roode and Daniel Bryan can wrestle for 2 pay-per-views.
And Daniel Bryan will say, dude, you're beneath me. Something like that. Like, I don't need to face you. I was the champion. I never lost it. So as far as I'm concerned, I am the champion. And then Bobby Roode says, good. So then maybe I should beat the real champion in you.
Right.
That's it. Bam.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I'm a great writer.
And when you say Bobby Roode, the funny thing is, insert name here, really, because it could have been Bobby Roode, it could have
Finn
been
Balor.
Finn Balor, it could have been Kevin Owens, it could have been a whole host of these guys from your list, or anywhere, or even more that we haven't mentioned. Could have been almost anybody.
It could have been an upcoming star.
Not like I said, not clamoring to see. Luke Harper, Eric Rowan versus Daniel Bryan, or Big Cass versus Daniel Bryan, or Kane versus Daniel Bryan.
And then it'll be this. Daniel Bryan beats Bobby Roode, right? And Bobby Roode goes, I respect you. But then the next guy comes in and goes, you know what? I want a match with you because I believe you're the real champion. And then that's the storyline. So who's the real champion? Is it the guy holding the belt who's not even on Raw? Or is it this guy?
Right.
Because now you have legitimacy. And then it builds to, here comes the champion. And he's like, why don't I have a match at SummerSlam or whatever? Well, that's because nobody wants to face you. Why wouldn't they want to face me? I'm the champion. Daniel Bryan comes out and says, I'm the champion.
Because everyone knows I'm the real
Yes.
Star.
Oh, my God. Oh.
Exactly. These are things that they just don't, they don't see it. Like, Daniel Bryan's been wrestling now a couple of months, and, like, no interaction with Nakamura yet. Now, for me, that's a dream match. That's a match I want to see, Daniel Bryan Nakamura. So, again, maybe WWE has this idea of holding off big matches for a minute, and I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Okay, you got SummerSlam, you got Survivor Series, you got WrestleMania you want to save matches for, but like I said, the time in the middle, though, no one wants to see Daniel Bryan, Big Cass. No one wants to see Daniel Bryan versus these guys. No one wants to see Nakamura in, bullshit matches like doing nothing. Him and AJ Styles, I was all for. Did they have to wrestle on 3 or 4 consecutive pay-per-views? No, they didn't have to do that. You know what I mean? But, just like him and Jeff Hardy. I don't know what happened this week with, like, the pay-per-view match being shitty and then the SmackDown match being really good. I don't know. But, all right, at least it's different. At least it's something you could see different, It's not the same shit over and over again,
Well, those were the guys that I think were being buried. So, and I'm on to my last topic because I'm all out of topics. This is the last one. Now that we're going to shift gears. We're going to move on to the women's division, and I think the women's division has done an excellent job, building them up. But as of lately, dude, it's fucking debacle now.
Well, I'll say this in my extensive history of watching wrestling, this is the only period of time that I've ever cared about the Divas division.
Yeah,
now, again,
that's why I'm saying they've done a phenomenal job.
I'm not trying to knock all the other divas, and it is what it is. They're all, some of them have legendary
I like Trish
stats.
Stratus and Lita.
Yeah, no, I'm not trying to diss them or anything, but as the wrestling fan, usually the common thing was the women's match was usually like the bathroom break match,
the broad panties match.
Yeah, those matches usually you went to the bathroom on, or you got your snacks when you're in the arena and stuff like that. But now, in the last 2 years, women's wrestling has come such a long way that you don't want to miss it, and it's almost one of the most promoted match on the card. Almost,
started in NXT, I believe.
Yeah, no, the NXT with the 4 horsewomen, as they say in wrestling, which was Charlotte, Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, and Bayley.
Yeah,
right. So they definitely
Oh,
started.
well,
this whole
Stephanie
thing.
said she's one of the hosts.
She's the
right now.
fifth.
She
the
said
fifth,
she's the fifth.
The J.J.
one.
Dillon of the
What
group.
a
you know?
fucking idiot, dude. They're so out of touch.
But anyway, no, but the women's division, yes, it's come a long way to where now their matches are a big part of the show.
Yeah.
And it's funny because WWE just can't help themselves to do it the same thing to the women they do to the men, like with this Carmella situation and James Ellsworth and Asuka.
Why is Carmella the champion?
Why is she the champion? I guess the argument could be made. It's easy to hate her and boo her, so they feel like you make her a bad guy. But you're sacrificing so many other options that are out there. Even a person like Becky Lynch, who may not have a huge following or be such a big star, she does great matches. I would rather see Asuka and Becky Lynch and Charlotte and Asuka and mix and match those in between. That's just the SmackDown side. We're not even talking about Bayley and Sasha and all the people on Raw.
Yeah.
Why is Carmella in that position? Even Naomi. Naomi's a great athlete too. I think she's good too, but it just, you watch it and you're like, why? Why is the women's division based around James Ellsworth and Carmella right now?
So the reason why I went into this topic next, I had one more wrestler on that buried list, and it's Asuka. Mm-hmm. Because Asuka's she's lost all of her luster, man.
She agree
was
with
the
you.
Empress
Yeah.
that was undefeated. Mm-hmm. They botched that, and now she's fucking losing to James. She's having matches with James Ellsworth, and she's fucking losing to Carmella that everybody thinks is she never won anything, and all of a sudden she just won because she cheated. And now she's beating Asuka.
Right.
It's like, dude, now Carmella's got to fucking win over her.
If by buried you mean current, then yeah, because like you said, they were not burying her. Obviously, she went undefeated for 2 years in WWE, including NXT. So, but yeah, right now all of a sudden just. You can't take a monster like that, like Asuka. You promoted her as the Goldberg, as the female Goldberg. She was unstoppable, and now, losing to Charlotte, I don't think anybody had a problem with that. I thought that storyline was.
I think
good.
it was just shocking.
It was shocking, but I thought,
it was good.
Yeah, it was good because Charlotte has, is legit. Yeah,
But then Charlotte lost.
Right.
The next day,
yeah.
fucking Carmella.
Right.
You just threw out all. So the next day, when I saw that match and she lost, I was like, you're right. It's Charlotte. She's still good. Mm-hmm. And now we're going to see a whole new version of Charlotte. Mm-hmm. I like this. Nope. Next day she loses to Carmella.
Yeah.
Wait, so you didn't want the title to go on Asuka?
Right.
So if you're going to take the title away from Charlotte, you're not giving it to Asuka.
Yeah.
So now you ruin Asuka, and now you're ruining Charlotte, whatever she had going for her, and now this fucking person had it.
Yeah.
That's
what it's the funny thing because it's typical WWE. Asuka goes on a 2-year winning streak just to lose almost all her matches now. Yeah. That's not you want to talk about kayfabing. That's them not kayfabing themselves because how does that make sense? You know what I mean? You can't tell me that from a sport perspective. Oh, they figured out the enigma that it is Asuka, so Charlotte got the win. Okay, fine. That doesn't mean everybody just gets to beat Asuka now. She's still a dominant force, or still should be the Godzilla of that division, the Beast. Yeah. She should still be there. But no, we're gonna figure out ways. That's the thing. It's like instead of storytelling and figuring out ways to keep her as the legit beast she is, their storytelling is how can we make her lose? Yeah. What can we do to get her to lose? Okay, we'll include James Ellsworth. We'll have her screwed this way. She'll get her head.
There'll be a cage.
Yeah,
over
she'll
the
get
ring.
her head rammed into a cage, and she gets a cheap win. And it's like people are tired of that old school approach.
Who did that? That ruined it? Was that W.C.W? I feel like that's what they did. All their matches were like, oh, it's cheating, and then that fucked it up, dude. So that's the direction.
The old formulas don't all have to work. That old formula of that mentality, I think, is played out. I think you keep Asuka as legit. You keep her as the dominant force. Okay, yeah, you figured out a way to get the title off her. She doesn't necessarily have to have the belt, but at the same time, you don't just have her. Now she loses. Whatever that tag match was, I can't remember exactly what it was, but she had a tag match where she lost in the tag match. Yep. She's lost to Carmella twice on pay-per-view now. It's like, come on. It's ridiculous. She's supposed to be winning.
So there's a lot of young fans right now that if you grew up watching the Attitude Era and you watch what happened to WCW, I see parallels here right now.
Yeah, the similarities. Yeah.
And so I'm not saying the WWE is when I say it's moving in a direction that's not good, I've seen this direction before, guys, and it ruined WCW, and they were winning. Mm-hmm. So that's what I mean. Dude, we grew up during that time. Some of the fans that are fans now, you didn't grow up back then. Mm-hmm. It's 2018. That happened, more than 20 years ago, 25 years ago. So I'm trying to tell you guys, I've seen this happen. I lived it. And I'm telling you right now, I'm seeing it right now. And I'm watching ROH and New Japan making these deals, and I'm thinking, they just sold out Madison Square Garden. It looks like I see
they didn't sell it out yet, but they're most likely
they're gonna sell it out. I know I'm buying my ticket. Yeah. So I don't know. That's the point I was trying to make with that. Now, with back to the women's division, I'm really pissed off with what they're doing. We just talked about the 4 horsewomen. What the hell are they doing with Bailey and Sasha?
Instead of giving us the blow off match to this storytelling, they just are dragging it out.
They're push and pull.
I feel like it's been going on forever. They tried to recreate that magic with the going to therapy and stuff like they did with Team Hell No originally, but it's not going to work, especially when you're doing Team Hell No again. I don't know why you would do this story like that. I just felt that that was the dumbest thing, but whatever. Again, it's all about holding off to the big match. I assume, in my great and wise wrestling knowledge that I have, I assume we're setting up Bailey versus Sasha at SummerSlam in New York because they had their NXT match a few years ago. It was like one of the best matches ever. So I assume we're going to get a big match of theirs. So hopefully that's where this is going, and at least we'll get that out of it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the steps to get there and the storytelling is just totally unnecessary and corny. It's corny. That's the bottom line. If you took a little bit more of a sport approach and just made it like they're two friends that want to become the best and they want to get their title shot and they're mad that Ronda Rousey's here stealing the spotlight, so they want to showcase themselves. That story is there for you. It's already there. It's beautiful. Use Ronda. You don't have to make Ronda a bad guy, but why not tell me a story where Sasha and Bailey are both mad and frustrated that Ronda Rousey came into a sport she doesn't belong in. This is just storyline I'm saying. Came into a sport she doesn't belong in, and all of a sudden she's getting these shots at the belt. She's getting title. She's getting spotlight on her. Let Sasha and Bailey both be mad about that, and then in order to prove that they're better, they fight each other and they're friends because they're not fighting each other because they hate each other or they have some corny storyline. They're fighting each other because they're trying to show, like, not only can we do it better than Ronda Rousey or anyone else, but we are better than most of the men in the company. And when one of us comes out of here the winner, we're a bona fide challenger for the championship. Like, that's a storyline built in itself. I just told you that in 5 minutes. They could have made that a 3-month storyline. Instead, we got them hugging each other, arguing each other, going to counseling, and it's just cornball.
Now they want to bang each other.
Like, what the heck? Now apparently they're in love. No, but it's just some cornball.
No, she said, I love you.
It's just
I'm
some
in love with you.
cornball stuff that does it. It's totally unnecessary when you forget that the basics of this is so simple that you're just trying to be number one. You want to be a champion. Kayfabe it all the way, right? Like, that's what it's all about. These two women want to be the best at what they do, and the only way to do that is they have to go through each other and then fight the champion. It's simple storytelling that they complicate and make corny.
One of the things that I constantly hear from fans all alike, every time I talk to fans, they're saying, "Oh, I love wrestling." That's the first thing they say is, "I love it. I love this guy," and they tell me some of their favorite spots and whatnot. But it always gets down to, but then, and here are the negatives, and we always say it. Everyone is frustrated, and I don't care what people say when you comment. If you say I'm wrong, I don't think so, dude. Because every time I've spoken to somebody about wrestling, they always voice a frustration of some sort. They're frustrated with somebody. Right. Maybe they're happy with the whole product, but they hate the way Finn Balor is being portrayed. Right. Or maybe they're upset with, maybe they love all the characters, but they're like, I hate the way the women are being treated. Right. Or I just hate that there's no championship on Raw. There's something that people...
that's a big deal with a lot of people, that the title isn't around. It's like, then what do we... in a funny way, it's like, then what are we all doing here? Right?
God,
what are we all doing here? Like, did we forget that the champion was the goal?
That's why I said with Daniel Bryan showing up, he could have said, don't worry about Brock. I'm actually the real champion. I never lost it. As far as I'm concerned, we never had a match, so I'm the champion. Right. Bam, there's your championship matches now. Right. With no title, he's the champion.
Right. Like, that's the WWE's problem with, they shoot themselves in the foot. They're so concerned with this entertainment value and the storytelling outside of the ring that they're forgetting about the storytelling inside the ring.
And you're going to lose your base.
They're forgetting how simple it could be, how easy it needs to be, no champion on Raw. What are we doing then? Then what are you here for? They all keep saying Brock Lesnar, Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar hasn't wrestled. He did WrestleMania and he did the Royal Rumble, right? And that's it. And it's like,
You know what makes me even angrier? They think that now that Brock Lesnar has gotten some heat, now they'll cheer for Roman.
Again, that's man. The New York crowd is going to shit on that match. Look at WrestleMania.
I almost want to go to SummerSlam.
I told friends of mine, you could see it coming a mile away. Roman Reigns was winning at WrestleMania. That's what we all believed, right? I think that's what most of the people believed. They pulled the swerve on even the smart fans, and Brock got the win. You go back and watch that match. The crowd was shitting on the match. And having Brock Lesnar didn't turn the crowd into, oh my God, we're shocked Brock won. People still didn't care. Yeah. There was no compassion because Roman shouldn't have been there. And as much as you swerved a hardcore fan like myself, not thinking Brock was going to win that, and he did, it still didn't matter because nobody cares. Because these two guys don't belong in that spot, people feel. Now, I'm not knocking Brock. Brock is awesome and a beast and on a level of his own.
Absolutely.
It's just a matter of he don't deserve it because the title should be there every week. That's what we mean by that. The belt should be there every week. It should be
And we also
the
don't want to see
focal
the same
point.
shtick.
You know, exactly. The focal point of the show should and always be, no matter what wrestling fed you are, the World Championship, the WWE title, the Ring of Honor title, the New Japan title. That belt is supposed to represent the goal of what everybody's here for. So all the cornball storylines you're going to surround yourself with, that's the goal. Now, yeah, it is wrestling. Can we have feuds that are personal, storyline-wise, personal feuds that they have? Sure, it happens. It branches off. The ultimate goal is the championship. When you have no championship on Raw, what am I watching Raw for? What are these guys doing, spinning their wheels? Braun Strowman's picking on Kevin Owens. That's what's going. Like that's what goes
That'll
on.
build him up.
Right? It's silly. It's stupid. They forget the core principles of what we're really tuning in to see and watch.
Now, we've been voicing our opinions on this, throughout this podcast.
All opinions.
Yeah.
All opinions.
They're all opinions. I mean, we had some facts in there, but most of it is just what we think and what we're seeing, right? And I don't want people to take away from this that I hate wrestling, because I told you I'm still going to watch, and I am still watching.
Me too.
And in fact, I try to do something a little different with this podcast, and I mentioned it to you, and you said I was in because of it. I said, listen, instead of just shitting on the product, because that's what I hear constantly, is just people just shitting on it, like, fuck this and fuck that, and that's it. I got nothing else. We're at least giving some constructive feedback by saying, you know what you could have done? And I bet you some of the stuff that we've said, some of those ideas could have worked.
Right.
And I know if people are listening to this, that might have, does it sound cool, the thought of Daniel Bryan coming back and saying, I'm actually the champion? Tell me, write in the comments, give me your suggestions. I want to hear what you guys think. Are you satisfied every single day or every single week, day in and day out, when they put the product out? Or you guys see nothing wrong with it? Do you think that everything is working perfectly? Or do you think that it doesn't even matter? They're just going to keep doing it and they're still going to be making money? Because if you think so, then comment that below. I want to know. I want to know I want to see what you guys think, because I'm confused, man. I'm trying really hard not to hate wrestling again, because there was a time where I hated it and I didn't watch it. I don't want to do that again, because honestly, when wrestling came back into my life, dude, everything was awesome.
Yeah.
I started reconnecting with old friends.
Well, wrestling, whether it's WWE or any other, when wrestling is good and on its game, it is one of the best things to ever get into. It's awesome when it knows how to get your passion going and get you emotionally invested. That's what it all comes down to: emotional investment.
Yeah.
When you get emotionally behind these guys, your favorites, and you want to see them succeed, that's what it's all about. So.
I remember going to WrestleMania down in Miami. It was when The Rock faced John Cena for the first time. I was down there. We were barbecuing, and there was I don't even know. I think there was 10 of us, just grilling, tailgating outside. Ton of people there. Everybody was connected. Hey, I'm wearing my CM Punk shirt, or I want The Rock to win. And we're just, I don't even know who these people are, but we had that connection. And I was like, oh my God, I'm in love with this again.
Yeah.
I forgot this, And then I went to WrestleMania the next year in New York. Once again, random people just coming. I even saw guys cooking burgers, and I was like, "Oh, let's trade burgers." And I was just talking to random people.
Yeah.
It's just so much fun. That's a great way to connect, and I don't want that to go away. My wife told me, "Why are you going to go to another WrestleMania? Because there's going to be another one next year in New York.
Right.
Why would you go to one in New York if you hate the product?" And I'm like, "Because you don't understand.
Because you don't hate the product.
Yeah.
You just get frustrated.
You just don't get it.
Yeah,
it's like when you're a football fan,
Yeah.
you're an NFL fan, and you love football, but your team is the Browns. You're like, well, I'm still going to watch the Browns. I love football. I can't not. Well, look, we got 5 yards that time. That's a good start. That's it. That's the best way to describe how I feel. I'm a frustrated fan who has to watch the Browns. No, I'm not trying to knock on Cleveland, because I do like the Browns. Yeah. But I'm saying, I feel like those fans, they go every year because they love NFL. I go every year to watch WWE because I love wrestling, but I'm constantly watching the guys that I want to be good being swept under the rug, and it's really frustrating.
Yeah.
So,
well, how do you think a Roman Reigns fan feels if they're out there? Roman Reigns fans are probably on top of the world. They think Roman Reigns is great, but they're feeling the opposite we do. Yeah. Roman loses to Lashley at a pay-per-view, and they're probably flipping out. Roman Reigns fans.
And then people are cheering on that. So now imagine you're a Roman Reigns fan and you're out there and you hear everybody booing your guy. You'd be like, what the fuck? What's going on? Imagine the kids. Yeah. It's really weird. They got to fix something, man. And I think there is something fundamentally wrong with what's going on in WWE. It's just it's not showing any signs of getting fixed. Yeah, it seems like they're still going steady the course. They just
keep repeating their same,
regurgitating the same garbage.
Same garbage. Yeah.
Well, we've been going on for about 2 hours now. I think this podcast was. I had so much fun doing it, dude.
It's been that long, huh?
Yeah, that's the thing about doing a podcast is we can just talk and talk and talk. And I'm all out of topics, thank God. And the reason why I only did this little amount of topics, it's only been what, five topics.
That's 2 hours worth of time, huh?
And I knew it was gonna go long.
Yeah.
So I said, all right, I'm not gonna do like I had like 20 topics, and my wife's like, why don't you get rid of like 75% of that? I'm like, what are you talking about? We had to talk about all of this. She's like, I don't think you're going to go even past 4. And so I picked the best ones that I could talk about. And I threw the rest of them out.
Oh, I'm glad we did. I hope we educated some people out there today.
I just want to entertain. This is all, it's all about entertainment. Here's the thing: if this podcast goes the way I hope it does, and we get a lot of feedback, I want people to comment like crazy. Depending on the reaction and the response to this will dictate whether I do this every week, because I had so much fun, dude. I would love to do this every Thursday.
I'd love to come back too. It's a great topic, I could talk about wrestling all day.
And
my whole life.
And we'll pick a topic. Here's the thing. You guys comment below. Give me some of your opinions on some of the things we went over, right? Give me some topics you want to go over. If you guys want me to go over some topics, we could I'll go in on those topics. Like, think about it.
Anything.
It's endless.
Anything's endless. Yeah, I'll sit here and talk all day about Bailey's behind if you want.
I mean, well, Bailey and Sasha Banks behind, because they're going to be going out soon. But listen, if you guys like what you heard, make sure that you want to that you should like and subscribe. So like the video, subscribe to the channel, put in your comments. I'm going to give my shout outs again to the Real Green Touring, Justine Cruz out there in Jamaica, Isabella Seda has a photography business, and I want you to do your plug.
Just be on the lookout for Uprise Wrestling coming soon.
So what is Uprise Wrestling?
Just an underground wrestling promotion that myself and some other people got started. We're just in the beginning processes of putting together our roster, getting our T's crossed and our I's dotted, getting that all done. And just be on the lookout. Uprise Wrestling will be on Facebook and maybe YouTube in the future. Just be on the lookout. Uprise Wrestling.
I'll definitely have you guys. I could have you guys on. We could do a show.
Sure, I'd love that.
Do
Absolutely.
one on Uprise Wrestling and whatnot. I mean, I used to do backyard wrestling. I can tell stories day in and day out.
Well, that's where it all stems from. I have championship belts we used to do in the backyard.
Yeah. What championship belts did you bring with you right now?
Just the top ones. I bought the WWE Undisputed Championship. It coincides with Brock Lesnar usually. I bought the Wing Eagled Circular Championship belt from the Attitude Era, and I brought the ECW Championship belt.
Beautiful belts, by the way. And one of them has signatures on it from TNA.
Yeah, no, the TNA, a lot of TNA wrestling signatures on the Undisputed title.
Blasphemy.
I know that's blasphemy. I know it is, but that's all I had at the moment.
We just lost all credibility.
And I have the ECW Championship with Rob Van Dam, Tommy Dreamer, and Taz's autographs on that, so it's pretty cool.
That's awesome, man. This has been really fun, and more than likely I'll do one with you guys, because that sounds like a good time.
Well, thank you for having me. It was my pleasure.
And thank you guys for listening. I really appreciate all the support, and make sure you comment below and like and subscribe. And this has been Brian Castillo and the Free Bridge Podcast. You guys have a nice time.